Not all of them have come in, but there will be loads of in-play betting thanks to our mates at Sky Bet, so stay tuned for them. Alongside him, backed by popular demand, Pete Dorman. Pete, you are in Social Corner, an integral part of the show. Tell the viewers how they can get involved today.
Yes, guys, we want you guys at home to be as involved as possible today, and you can do that by tweeting us with the hashtag #TheFootballSocial to @FootballDaily or @SoccerAM, or just drop your questions in the comments below, and I will file my way through them and farm them out to the guys on the sofa.
Yeah. Great stuff. And next to him, Chris Hamill in his own chair, the armchair fan. Chris, you're watching the 4 other games. What are the 4 games, mate?
I feel like a Bond villain in this. I feel like I've said that already. Recycled banter.
Yeah,
yes, I'm checking out Brighton versus Wolves, Fulham versus Bournemouth, Southampton versus Newcastle. Fully expect that one to be a ball draw, and Watford versus Huddersfield. So some attritional ties. You might not hear a lot from me, but I like the sound of my own voice, so I'll interject anyway.
Which one are you most looking forward to out of those 4?
I'm going to go for Fulham-Bournemouth because at least both sides like to play a positive attacking brand of football, and neither of them are great at defending, are they?
OK, yeah, I think there could be goals galore in that one. I think that's a good shout. We've got an accumulator. As you all know, Football Social, we do a weekly accumulator. Did come in a couple of weeks ago for the first time. So this is how it's worked. We all have predicted a result from the 5 3 o'clock games. I have gone for tough predictions here. I've gone for Wolves to beat Brighton. I've been raving about Wolves all season. Been very impressed with their brand of football. I think they will be too much for Chris Hughton's men. Chris Hamill, you've gone for an away win in that game you were just talking about. Bournemouth to beat Fulham at Craven Cottage. Alex Brooker with the hardest prediction of the lot.
Yeah, I've stuck my neck out here. I've really stuck out my neck out, and yeah, it's a tough one. I've gone for Liverpool on a home win. So
spent a long time thinking about that one.
Yeah,
1 to 9.
Really studying the odds and the form.
Now, speaking of studying the odds and the form, Sandro, who is the expert on betting, the only one that's gone for a draw. Southampton Newcastle. Explain the reasoning behind that.
The reason is, I fell asleep researching this game. It's so poor. It's going to be terrible. Neither team have managed to score many goals. I think they've both scored 6 in 9 games. Both have got their issues that have been well documented.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting on the fence a little bit, but I just felt I could see this being, you've already said it, haven't you, a ball draw. I don't think it's going to be one of the most entertaining games this afternoon. So I suppose that's my rationale.
Safety. Sitting on the bench there, sitting on the fence, should I say. Pete Dorman,
you hooked me already, have you?
Pete, you've gone for a home win, Watford versus Huddersfield. Yeah. Interesting. Now, you can get odds of 40 to 1 on that. Don't forget, you must be 18 plus. Full terms and conditions apply. For more information, go to skybet.com. Interesting, 40 to 1. So what we'll do is we'll see how that accumulator unfolds as the show goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll sort of find out the cash-out values, and I suppose it gives everyone an opportunity to point the finger at who might be letting the team down.
We're in good form going into this, Sandro, winning our first accumulator. So, you know, if it dips...
no pressure.
I'm pointing the finger squarely at you, mate.
Go on, let's get off your chest.
I think if Sandro's got... Do you know what? I would have probably said Southampton Newcastle would be a ball draw.
Right.
But because Sandro's gone for it, I reckon there's going to be over 4 goals in it now. That's my separate bet to the people at home. Lump on over 4 goals.
Right, it's worth bringing up bit of context in this. You two are very good mates.
Yeah.
And Sandro's given you some tips in the past. How have they panned out for you?
Well, bear in mind, I've known Sandro for a couple of years, and I know he works for Sky Bet, and he's never ever gone to me with a tip, never once. And out of the blue, before the World Cup, he just went, mate, you need to get on Iceland to beat Norway in a friendly.
And
it was such a random game. And it was just, like, so out of the blue. And he's never given me a tip before. And I thought, this must be basically like buying money.
Yeah.
So I stuck a load of money on, and Norway beat them, didn't they? And then there was a horse a few weeks ago. That one didn't come in either.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about giving people tips is if they don't win, they never bring it up. They never remind you of it, do they? Only telling the masses.
About Scandinavian football, aren't they?
Well, yeah, my man in Iceland said it was a good thing. Yeah, you know, that's international football. We all know it's a very complex beast.
Never said that in the WhatsApp message.
But
you never went get on Iceland to beat Norway, but just to caveat that, it is international football. And international football, the horse wasn't racing in international football, mate.
How did that do, incidentally? Didn't come in.
It came second.
It
Then
came
yeah,
second.
more seconds than Oxfam that day. But look, today's another day. We're back to the
Yeah.
you know the everyday, the bread and butter of domestic football, and
Yeah.
and I'm confident.
Clever way to move the chat on from that. We can have a look at the team news. The teams are in for Liverpool against Cardiff, which, don't forget, is our feature game. Here is the team. Alisson in goal, Trent Alexander-Arnold, who you just took out of your dream team, didn't you?
Yeah, I took him out because he's not played the last couple of games. I put Joe Gomez in. Where's Joe? Yeah,
Well,
he's on the
Trent
bench.
Alexander-Arnold is playing and Joe Gomez isn't. Dejan Lovren and Virgil van Dijk, who's having a fantastic season at the back with Moreno. The three they go for in the middle today is Wijnaldum, Fabinho and Adam Lallana. And, of course, the front three is Mo Salah, Firmino and Sadio Mane. Let's go to Social Corner, because I know that there's been a lot of positivity about Liverpool this season so far. Any questions about Liverpool, Pete?
Yeah, there is a very interesting question here from James Tomo, who has said some papers have been reporting that Salah is unhappy at Anfield and that Real Madrid are going to table a bid for him in January. Will this happen and will it be a good move?
Ooh. What do you think, Alex?
If I was Salah, I personally wouldn't go there. Not yet. Not in January. Because, you know, Liverpool are in with a decent chance of winning the title. He did so well there last season. They're a massive club. Real Madrid are a mess at the moment, from, like, you know, with the board and with the managers probably going to go. If I was him, and also, like, Liverpool's an amazing... I went to university in Liverpool. I think it's the greatest city in the world, so I'd stay there.
It's not quite Madrid, though, is it?
What's that? I've never been to Madrid, mate, so I'm just going on my knowledge.
Did they do £1 Jaeger bombs in Madrid? No.
No,
We're
don't.
with Alice on this.
Yeah,
Good first
have you ever had a
question, though.
turbo shandy? No.
Good first question. Interesting to see what Mo Salah does. And just picking up what you said there, Liverpool real title contenders for you this season.
Yeah, I genuinely believe they are, absolutely. I think that at the start of the season I thought it was going to be them and Man City. I don't really think much different now.
No.
I don't want to be the pessimistic Arsenal fan, by the way. I still think we're playing some amazing stuff and people aren't moaning as much, which is nice. So, yeah, but I think that Liverpool have got to be in with a chance.
Yeah, definitely in with a title chance. Let's have a look at the Cardiff team. Cardiff team is in. They've got a lot to do. They're interesting hearing Neil Warnock's comments before the match, saying it's all virtually impossible to beat this current Liverpool team. They've got with Neil Etheridge in goal, Ekwil Manga, Morrison, Sol Bamba and Bennett at the back, Junior Hoylett, Camarasa, Gunnarsson, Murphy, with Bobby Reid behind Patterson. Hamster. Interesting Neil Warnock's comments there. Cardiff, do you give them any chance today? They did win last week.
So you didn't want to ask me about Real Madrid versus Liverpool, but you've come to me with the Cardiff team. You've stitched me up good
on,
and
mate.
proper there, mate.
I know that your knowledge of Cardiff is excellent.
I
It's
was
a
actually
positivity.
pretty impressed with their 4-2 victory over Fulham last week. But I think that says more about Fulham's defending than it does Cardiff's attack necessarily, because Fulham are conceding about 17 shots per game at the moment, which is the second worst in the league after Burnley. Although I think they've only conceded around 10, 15 more shots on their goal than Arsenal this season. So that goes back to what you were saying about Arsenal being quite fortuitous. But I imagine Dan Lovren's playing because Cardiff have quite a direct game plan, don't they? Patterson's actually been really useful this season, played in a bunch of positions. He's a very decent player. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of this new talent, let's say, because there's quite a lot of unknown entities in the Cardiff team if you've not been watching Championship football.
They caused Chelsea a few problems at the start of the game, didn't they? When
About the first 10 minutes.
And Arsenal as well,
they do have the
They've got
ability to get about teams, but you look at Van Dijk, who arguably he's probably the best centre-half in Europe at the moment. You think they'd have enough about him, and if they nick one, I think you'd probably still fancy Liverpool to get
interesting. Neil Warnock makes just one change. Junior Hoylett replaces Harry Arter, who is, of course, injured, if you're wondering why Harry Arter's not playing. Liverpool, interestingly, 6 changes from the side that won at Huddersfield last weekend. Fabinho, Wijnaldum, Firmino, Mane, Moreno and Alexander-Arnold all returned. So 6 changes, a lot of changes, but it does go to show how much strength in depth Liverpool have. Now, one other thing that we've done, Hamill.
I was going to say, apparently Klopp was waiting to blood Fabinho into the side, waiting for his English to get better before he put him in the team.
Really?
Which was, I thought, quite interesting.
Interesting.
Moving on quickly.
And on the subject of Liverpool, we've actually done another betting element to the show. So what we've done is we've all picked how we think the game is going to unfold. So we put a bit of money in each. Now, if the scores are the same, so for instance, Sandro and Chris have gone for the same score, and if that comes in, it then goes to the first goal scorer, it then goes to the first goal minute. So Chris has gone 4-0, Salah first goal scorer 8 minutes, Alex Brooker has gone 2-0, Liverpool, Salah first goal scorer 33rd minute. Sandro, you've gone for 4-0, Mane after 18 with the first goal scorer, Dorman 3-0, Mane after 19 for the first goal scorer, and I've gone for 3-1. Mane first goal scorer, 12th minute for the
Why
first goal.
Mane, lads?
If anyone can understand how this works, Sandra, this is where you really come into it in terms of who is winning this bet. It hopefully will be the score that decides it.
Let's hope so. And
what happens if none of the scores come in?
I don't know. I don't know. Then we're all pretty poor judges. And I do like to think I'm bringing slightly more than just being some sort of like quasi-referee, sort of rule book reg. But yeah, look, I think everyone's in agreement. It's going to be a convincing Liverpool victory, isn't it?
Yeah.
They haven't lost at home since 25th of April, 7th.
Amazing one
Incredible,
at home.
incredible.
Yeah, these are the scenes at Anfield. There's Jurgen Klopp, Virgil van Dijk captain the side, leading the teams out. Liverpool against Cardiff. Massive game for Neil Warnock's men off the back of their first league victory last week against Fulham. All of us strongly think that Liverpool will win that one. But let us know what you think in the comment section if you think Cardiff have any chance and who you're going with for first goal scorer. These are the scenes at Craven Cottage. Fulham v Bournemouth. Fulham looking to end a run of 6 Premier League games without a win as Jokanovic names 3 changes to the side that lost at Cardiff. Sergio Rico starts in goal whilst Timothy Fosu-Mensah and Aboubakar Kamara come in for Callum Chambers and Stefan Johansson. Eddie Howe names 1 change as Bournemouth look to extend their unbeaten run to 5 games in all competitions. Been a great start to the season for Eddie Howe's men. Charlie Daniels returns to the side for the first time since August. He replaces Josh King. Should be a good game, that. Fulham-Bournemouth. We're expecting a lot of goals in that. All of us have predicted goals. Probably end 0-0 now that we've said that. These are the scenes at Vicarage Road. Watford's 2-0 win at Wolves last weekend was their first win in 6 games in all competitions, and they are unchanged, unsurprisingly, for today's visit of Huddersfield. Holebas and Kabasele are back on the bench following suspension, but captain Troy Deeney remains unavailable due to that hamstring injury. Isaac Mbenza is Huddersfield's only change from the side that lost at home to Liverpool. David Wagner's side still looking for their first Premier League win of the season. Yeah, dreadful start for Huddersfield so far. This is Southampton. Is that Southampton Newcastle? We can bring you. Another big game at the foot of the table. Mark Hughes Saints without a win in 5 Premier League games and failed to score in their last 4 as well. Their only change is Oriol Romeo coming in for the injured Pierre Højbjerg. Newcastle, where do we start with them? It's been a disaster. Rock bottom of the table, not won a single game, pointless at home. He is still looking for his first Newcastle win this season, but he names an unchanged side to the one that lost at home, disappointingly, to Brighton. Huge game for Newcastle. And this is the scenes at Brighton against Wolves. 38 years since Brighton last won 3 consecutive top-flight games. And with that feat in mind today, Chris Hughton names an unchanged side to the one that won at Newcastle last weekend. Glenn Murray, great to hear he's recovered from that nasty concussion he sustained at St James's Park, and he retains his starting place, of course. Defeat at home to Watford last weekend has led to Nuno Espirito Santo making a change to his starting lineup for the very first time this season. And it is their record signing. Adama Traore starts in place of Diego Jota, who drops to the bench. About time he's made a change. An interesting hat there as well, we see. Big game for Wolves.
I'm a big fan of my team, but I'd never go out with a hat with a plastic seagull on it.
No, what are your thoughts on that hat? I noticed that you were not having it, no?
No, I mean, imagine turning around to your missus and going, "Where's my seagull hat?" before I go out. Got my keys, got my season ticket. Where's my hat with the bird on it? It's just some things in football.
Half and half scarf.
I'm going to be here for the next 90 minutes, getting slightly wound up by
there
things
it
in
is.
the crowd.
Just in case you missed the man with the hat, we just showed you that.
I do think a seagull hat is more acceptable than a half and half scarf, though, isn't it?
Do you?
Probably
At least you've nailed your colours.
Is that how are they still in business?
I know.
Who's
What
buying
about
it?
half and half? You can have like half seagull, half pigeon on the hat.
Right, our games are underway, Hamill.
They have kicked off, mate,
in.
yes.
All of them kicked off?
1 minute in, I can confirm all of them have kicked off, and Bournemouth already in Fulham's penalty area. Quelle surprise, because they are absolutely terrible in defence. Like we've already stated, Jokanovic keeps pushing those full-backs up the pitch, come home or away, doesn't he? But let's see if they're a little bit more, I don't know, conservative, because I feel like they need to stop shipping so many high-quality opportunities, don't they?
Oh, here comes Mark, the floor manager. Here he is.
lovely.
A round of applause for Mark, the floor manager.
Cheers,
There
thank
he
you,
is.
mate. Thank you very much. This is
Thank you,
warm.
Mark. That's great.
Said ice cold.
Oh.
What's going on?
Thanks, Mark. Good to see you. Makes a regular appearance in every show. It's good to see you again. Interesting, we spoke about Mo Salah earlier on in the show. Scored his 50th goal for Liverpool on his 65th appearance for the club against Red Star Belgrade in midweek, becoming the quickest player to reach 50 goals in Liverpool's history. Interestingly, Salah to score and Liverpool to win 5-0 is 12-1 with Sky Bet. Don't forget, it must be 18 plus. Full terms and conditions apply. Interesting.
I'm just pleased I managed to open my can myself. So it'll be small victories for me today over the course of the games.
Oh, Mark's back. There he is. He's just not content with coming into one side. Thank you very much, Mark. Liverpool v Cardiff. Cardiff. Any hope for Cardiff to win this, Alex? For you?
I don't think so. By the way, on the accumulator, I didn't know we were allowed to go on the same scores. So I originally wanted 3-1, but I saw you had it.
Right.
So I went for 2-0 because I actually think Cardiff might nick a goal.
Yeah. A little. See, I think a little set piece, Cardiff. Nicking one, a header.
I didn't think they were terrible against us by any stretch of the imagination. So, and they won last week, so they will have a bit of confidence.
Yeah. Well, it's no goals so far. We're only 3-4 minutes into all the games. All our games have kicked off. No goals so far. Sandro, let's come to any in-play betting going on.
I don't know how, but Liverpool have managed to get shorter within the space of about the first minute of the game. So I don't know if that's a reflection of just how badly the Cardiff are playing. But let's be honest, you're not going to get rich back in Liverpool to win a game at 16-1 on, which is what they are now.
Yeah.
Of course, you're going to be looking at the goal scorer market. So Mo Salah 9-4 to score the first goal. Bobby Firmino 4-1, and Sadio Mane also 4-1. Maybe if you fancy something a little bit different, maybe those odds don't appeal. You've got maybe Dejan Lovren 28-1, Virgil van Dijk 16-1, but it's the goal scorer market, it's the correct score markets, I think.
What's Alexander-Arnold for first goal now? I've taken him out of my team.
He's a 28-1.
Oh, hey, 28-1.
Yeah.
On that subject, interesting price boost on your screen right now. Liverpool to win 3-1 was 10-1. It's now 11-1 with Sky Bet. Interesting price boost there. Hamill, I know we're early on. Interesting to see Traoré starting. Nuno's first change to the starting lineup all season.
Yeah, and you can see why he'd go for someone like Traoré against Brighton. Very porous defence. They were very, very fortunate to escape with the 3 points last week, weren't they, against Newcastle?
Yeah.
And if you're Rafa Benitez and you see you're at the foot of the table, your team are goal shy, but you're still producing 27 shots against someone like Brighton, putting 6 on target, and you're losing 1-0. You must just be thinking, the football gods are against me here. Huddersfield, I think Berem Kiao scored the goal, the defensive midfielder at St James's Park. Duncan Duffy were absolutely brilliant on the day, so they've been riding their luck of late for sure. I think up there on 13 points maybe. Stress how bad they were. I think they'll have more than enough in their lockout to dispatch of Brighton. Saying that, promising attack here.
Yeah, Brighton attack.
And Glenn Murray has recovered from that nasty head injury, hasn't he? And he's their only source of goals. Knockaert, their most creative player by far this season. Couple shots on target, a couple shots per 90. Creates a couple of chances. After that, it's slim pickings. Pascal Gross, who was brilliant last season, not at it. And Jahan Bash, who they signed from the Eredivisie, not producing anywhere near the numbers he was putting up last year. So I think that's probably one side to keep a closer eye on. I think the others may be a little bit easier to call. But yeah, what have you made of Wolves at the start of this season? Because they've sort of captured the hearts and minds of the neutral, haven't they, by playing competent football?
Yeah, I like Wolves, but they've spent a bit of money as well, haven't they?
They threw serious money.
Yeah.
I mean, what's interesting, you look, half their team that got them up have sort of gone, haven't they? Players like Barry Douglas, who were amazing.
Yeah.
Got shipped out to
He got about 1 million assists last season.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
And he was shipped off to Leeds for 3 million, yeah.
But they've replaced quality with even better quality.
Yeah, exactly that.
Haven't they?
I think the difference as well, because obviously everyone talks about the amount of money both Fulham and Wolves spent coming up. I mean, Fulham spent in excess of 100 million for a promoted club, which is unheard of. But for me, Wolves have kept the basis of their team and strengthened where they've needed to. I look at Fulham spending, and they didn't invest in defence. They just spent a load of money on midfielders. For me, they haven't really invested in the right areas. And I think that's evident with the amount of goals they're shipping this season, whereas Wolves, I think, have strengthened brilliantly. And from what I've heard as well, Wolves are going to spend in Jan as well.
You feel like the whole structure of the club from top to bottom is better.
Wolves,
they know where they're going. Obviously, Mendes is there in charge of the transfers, but they obviously knew who their targets were well in advance.
Yeah.
They knew where they were going to fit in. Whereas,
I mean,
like you say, Fulham felt a little bit like kids in a sweet shop with his pocket money. Go, well, I can have that, and I can
think he
have
hasn't
that.
quite worked out where they're all playing in formation, and it's big game.
João Moutinho doesn't join Wolves without Jorge Mendes' influence, does he? He's arguably been one of their best players. Yeah, Ruben Neves, they'll be looking to keep hold of him for another, 6 months to a year. Links that he might be Fernandinho's long-term heir at Manchester City, and you can see that.
I think there'll be a lot of clubs in for him.
Very Pep Guardiola sort of player, has a very unique skill set. But I quite like Jukanovic's. I like Fulham spending, and I know they didn't necessarily strengthen defensively, but 3 points keeps you up in this league. Draws and being, solid away from home, and getting those, what people conceive as all-important points, don't really work for sides coming up. So they have gone balls to the walls, haven't they? But quite like it. And I think they're creating about the 10th most opportunities in the league, but also conceding the most.
I think going forward, they're great.
Let's hope they kind of come somewhere in between and are rewarded for playing that positive brand of football. Because I like Jukanovic.
Yeah, 10 goals they've conceded at home, though. Only Cardiff conceding more, so we don't doubt their quality going forward, but they do need to strengthen at the back. Right,
while it's all an absolute disaster.
While it's all 0-0 around the ground, we'll go to Social Corner. Pete, what have you got for us? Just remind the viewers how they can get involved in the show as well.
Yeah, they can get involved in a number of ways. You can just drop your comments in the comments below and I'll pick them up, or you can tweet us at Football Daily or at SoccerAM with the hashtag #TheFootballSocial. Thanks for that, Chris. Just staying on the Liverpool angle, there's a question here from Mikey T, who has said Peter Crouch recently said he thinks Shaqiri is good enough to break up the Mane, Salah, Firmino strike force. Do you think he's good enough to start in that front three?
Who's that? Sorry, who's good enough to make it up?
Shaqiri.
Shaqiri played well against
Crouchy,
Red Star.
Crouchy thinks he is.
Red Star.
Chance Liverpool. Big chance Liverpool. Must be the first goal. First goal.
How many minutes? Because that's got to be close to 8.
I'll tell you what, Mohamed Salah has scored the first goal.
And I've said Salah.
Liverpool 1, and Chris Hamill had it. It's Liverpool 1.
9 minutes!
Cardiff
Get
0.
in there, boys. Come
We
on.
will have a look at our predictions very shortly. It fell to so many players. It was only a matter of time before that hit the back of the net. Liverpool 1-0 up already.
Well, then, I've called it. What a good start to the day.
And there's another goal. Goal at Watford, Hamill.
I missed that. Missed that big time.
Professional as always.
Just looking at replay of Salah's goal. A few deflections. Talk me through the replay now.
Salah scoring 1 minute after I said he would.
The ball is whipped in. Sadio Mane, back to goal, is cleared and it falls for Mo Salah about 3 yards out. Tight angle, but he doesn't miss from there. 1-0 Liverpool. Goal at Watford.
Yes,
Hamill,
it appears to be Pereira. What a goal! He looks like he's just waltzed through that Huddersfield back line, and like we said at the start of the game...
it's a nice run.
He's ran in a straight line.
That defending is pathetic.
Pereira's obviously been one of Watford's better players at the start of the season, but that is
it's
truly
That reminds me of, one of these really bad football films.
Yeah. You look at it...
That reminds me of FIFA on amateur mode. The defenders run away from it.
You look at it on the first camera, you think it's like a Ricky Villa, George Best maze up. It's not till you watch the replay. He actually just runs straight and no one makes any attempt to tackle him.
Huddersfield actually made a decent start as well. I was keeping an eye on it. They'd had a couple of decent shots. Moy had a good effort.
Huddersfield are
typical Huddersfield
at the moment. Are creating the third fewest chances in the league, and Watford are conceding the third fewest. So you'd imagine something's got to give there. Huddersfield's chances are going to be few and far between. Watford don't concede them, and Watford decent going forward. We saw it last week away from home. They have this very compact unit through the middle, which they utilise brilliantly. And Decore, Will Hughes, Pereira, all playing very well at the start of the season.
It's very strange for me, isn't it?
Billing there.
2 single files from defence up.
4-2-2.
Even the strike was pretty much straight at the keeper,
underneath the goalkeeper. A moment to forget for Wagner's men, indeed.
Yeah, 3 points from 9 games. This is Huddersfield's worst ever start to a season. They're also 9 points worse off than at this stage last season, which was, of course, their debut season in the Premier League. It is only Huddersfield and Newcastle who are yet to register a win in the Premier League this season. Not won any of their 10 games in all competitions. Things going from bad to worse from Huddersfield. Let's go back to Social Corner, Pete.
Yeah, going back to the question before Mohamed Salah rudely interrupted us. Do you think Shaqiri's good enough to break into that front three at Liverpool? Peter Crouch does think he is good enough.
We got any Shaqiri fans on the sofa?
But
I'm a big fan of his diminutive stature.
He has
a small
quite
man myself.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Quite a little powerhouse.
I think his value for money was phenomenal.
Yeah,
what they paid for him, considering he was like Stokes' only real player towards the end of the season.
13
I think 13 million was an absolute snip for a player of his calibre. I don't think don't think he's as good as the front three, but I think Liverpool will play so many games in so many competitions.
Well,
he's
yeah,
going to
look,
get games.
the fact he came in midweek and did well, so...
Yeah, against Red Star.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like...
Lovely pass for one of the goals. There's
think
5,
he-
wasn't there?
He's a good player, but I don't like those front three.
Yeah.
Arguably as good as any.
He's the
any
perfect
in the league.
rotation.
Yeah,
exactly
he was
that.
never bought.
I agree.
He was never bought to take their place. He was bought as because they know they're in the Champions League. They're trying to go far in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
They need to rotate their squad.
And Jurgen Klopp has an extremely demanding style of football, which
Yeah,
is
very
why
intense,
last season, you know, they needed the likes of... I mean, Lallana was largely injured, wasn't he? But Oxlade-Chamberlain
Yeah.
came to
He
the
played
fore.
really well
didn't
towards the end of the
he? So Shaqiri could be a good purchase
Oh,
in that regard.
Liverpool just hit the post.
Was that Van Dijk?
We've got to keep an eye on these games. It's Virgil van Dijk.
Alex, have you got Van Dijk in your team?
Sandro,
No, I don't.
Mentioned earlier.
I never had him in, actually. I didn't take him out as well.
Let's have a little look at this replay. Great cross in. He's clearly onside. 6 yards out. Header off the post from Virgil van Dijk. Interesting price boost on your screen right now. Salah to score a hat-trick. Already scored one after 9 minutes, 5-1 with Sky Bet. Any other interesting betting going on?
Absolutely,
Odds going on?
plenty going on. It's all one-way traffic from the game that we're watching. 2-0 Liverpool win is 7-1, 3-0 is 5-1, 4-0 is 6-1. If you fancy 5-0, that's 8-1. Salah to get a brace, so to score one more in the game now, that's just 4-6. So, yeah, and of course a hat-trick now 5-1. But you do feel like it's one-way traffic, and it's a case of how many Liverpool score now.
I believe Fosu Mensah just given away a penalty.
Is there an incident in one of your games, Chris? Let's go to you on the monster screen.
I am watching Brighton Wolves at the minute where Adama Traore is running riot. But yes, Fosu Mensah, who on our recent podcast we go back to Manchester United and make an impression, has conceded a penalty from right back. Chopping down last week's goal scorer, Barem Kiao, I believe. It looked fairly obvious. And up steps Callum Wilson, who I put on to score first.
Did
in my
you?
own time.
Okay.
I put a pound on a few of these first goal scorers in my games. Callum Wilson to secure me £9 here. So, lads, you know, tease on me after
We'll
this.
stay with you for the pen, Hamill.
Go on, then. Oh, and he's rolled it home. Callum Wilson, him and Josh King and Bournemouth as a whole making a habit of scoring penalties at the start of this campaign. I believe that is maybe their, like, 7th or 8th penalty.
A lot of penalties.
What's going on
yeah.
here? That's a penalty, isn't it?
No. Incident in one of
I
your
thought
games?
I thought it was a
Liverpool
penalty
game?
in Liverpool.
Not given, though.
Liverpool,
Not
Cardiff
given.
then.
Still 1-0.
Salah had his back to goal. Literally just got. I thought he just got hauled down.
Oh.
I honestly, I turned around and looked at it, and the keeper was like on the edge of his box. Have a look at this now.
We're having a look at this replay.
Oh, it's not gone to it, is it?
I'm still
It's not
absolutely-
given, though, interestingly. So Bournemouth take the lead 1-0. Callum Wilson, interesting pen. It's a soft pen, but he gives the keeper the eyes. It's one of them. If the keeper goes the right way, it's a dreadful pen, but he gives the keeper the eyes, goes the other way.
I've also got
It is
no
1-0
idea
Bournemouth.
why it sounded like my voice broke. When
I didn't want to bring that
Sorry,
up.
just to let you know, I mean,
Gary Neville in
it
the
was,
league
it was it was no penalty for Liverpool, but on the plus side, I have now hit puberty.
I'm going to get the odds up. It was 6-1 for Callum Wilson to score first, and that was a price boost, Sandro.
Hey, with the gift that keeps on giving, Chris, you know that, mate.
Really good tie in
I
there.
had to do that myself, mate. Where were you in the green
Oh.
room? Right? Bloody hell, come on.
Yeah, Callum Wilson just one goal in his last 7 Premier League appearances, but has scored 3 Premier League goals this season. It's another penalty, another goal, and it's a great start for Bournemouth. Eddie Howe. I've always been a big... I know Eddie Howe has his critics. I've always been a really big fan of Eddie Howe, from where he's taken Bournemouth when he started to where he is now, and they are having a fantastic season.
6th, aren't they, at the moment?
6th in the Premier League.
They were 21st
Fantastic.
in League One when he took over.
Yeah, exactly.
Incredible.
Incredible
Absolutely
what he's
incredible.
done. Sandro, back to you.
Yeah, things are looking good for our accumulator. The accumulator currently that we have is a draw in the Southampton-Newcastle game, Liverpool to win.
Thank you very
currently
much.
1-0 up.
Tough on that one, wasn't it?
Liverpool
it,
to win, currently 1-0 up. Watford to win, 1-0 up. And Bournemouth to win, 1-0 up. And we're just waiting on Wolves as it stands. So if you had a bet on that, for every £1, you can now cash out for £2.07.
Look at that
So
return.
it's not going to make you a millionaire, but it is going to double your stake if you want to cash out. But I
Instant
don't.
impact, that, Sandro.
I do
You're
not
like Adam
think-
Lafondra back in the day. Straight off the bench.
For Reading,
Results.
You don't strike me as the
Instantaneous.
sort of guys that are going to cash out just to double their profit.
Absolutely not.
That is a big part of it. Cashing out is always a tough decision, isn't it?
It's I mean, it's
What should we be thinking of if you're thinking of cashing out? Like, how do you play that?
How do you take the emotion out of it, mate?
Give us the expertise behind it.
So I think you've got to ask yourself a couple of questions. First of all, is there an amount of money that you'd like to take out of the bet before? So before you've even placed a bet and you don't know that any goals have gone in. Say, for example, you've had £1 and you'd be over the moon if you could get £10 profit.
Yeah.
If it gets to that, if it gets to that point and that's what you've decided, then take it out. But at least in that sense, you've removed all the emotion. You haven't factored in what's happening during games. Alternatively, if you're the other mindset that maybe you're happy to lose the money, you're happy to lose the £1, and you'd rather lose the £1 and give yourself a chance of winning 30, then you wouldn't cash out. But I do think you can start to drive yourself slightly bonkers during the 90 minutes of a game of football if you continue looking at your cash-out value and continue looking at the game, because if you don't do it, you'll beat yourself up. If you do it, you beat yourself up. So I think...
Whatever you can live with.
Exactly. Set the parameters before you have the bet at the start of the game.
I remember there was this one game where Iceland played Norway, and I think Iceland went 1-0 up, and never had that sort of advice on cash. Now, was this a penalty?
OK, this is the replay of Liverpool's penalty incident.
So
Salah is through on goal. Etheridge comes out of the box,
does well not
clears
to
it.
handle it there.
Trent Alexander-Arnold plays a long ball back into Salah, who's in the box. He's thrown to the ground. That is a penalty. I have to say, Alex, you called that straight away.
Yeah.
That is a penalty. The question for you, do you think that Salah's reaction hasn't helped him because he's a bit over-dramatic?
No, I just think he got pulled down.
It was a penalty, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But sometimes referees say that if the player is
second goal at Watford.
Over-analysing or throwing themselves to the ground, it's not given. But for you, definite penalty.
Yeah, 100%.
OK, goal at Watford. Hamill.
Second goal, mate. We're just going through it now, but... ironic, there's been a penalty incident in the Liverpool game because we've just had a handball in the Brighton game from a Wolves shot, and Kamara for Fulham has been booked for diving. And my goodness gracious, that goal from...
Was that
Deulofeu.
Oh, he's rolled back. I mean, he's still only 24, but he's gone back to the Mazia with that finish. That was absolutely...
Should the keeper save that, Hamill?
Yeah. I mean, he's not curled it, has it? Because it's his right foot. He's bent it into the side netting, and the keeper's gone to ground very early. And it's gone over the top of him, but...
He dropped his shoulder and really early there.
And I joined the list of people who have made terrible mistakes on their fantasy team because I took Deulofeu out about a week ago, Alex, so there we have it.
Hamill, let's talk about Huddersfield. I mean, terrible start to the Premier League, and it looks like they've got a lot to do now as well.
Absolutely woeful. I think they, along with Cardiff, are starting to form a group who are pretty much nailed on to be in that relegation dogfight. But they, much like Newcastle, didn't strengthen significantly in the summer, did they? And they struggled with goals last season. I think Steve Mounier arrived to a little bit of fanfare. He'd done well in League 1. He got 8 goals last campaign, which was nothing to sniff at, but they've just really struggled to create chances. And Aaron Moy, I like last season, hasn't really hit the same heights. He's got
to bear in mind with Mounier as well that he scored 2 of them in the first game against Palace, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he missed a great chance against Liverpool the other week. I've got a real soft spot for Huddersfield because I live there.
Yes, that's right.
What's the general vibe like around Huddersfield?
It was amazing when they went up. Like, I was in the Huddersfield end for the playoff final against Reading. It's the best atmosphere I've ever been in any game.
My mates who are Spurs season holders go to every away game say the same thing, that Huddersfield away was their favourite fixture last year just because of the atmosphere.
The Kirklees?
It's a brilliant fixture, and it's been great for the town, but... At the moment, they spent a fair bit of money on Congolo, who they had on loan, and they bought him, and I just thought to myself that surely a striker was what they needed, really.
Definitely, yeah.
Because Moy's a decent player as well.
Already been sent off this season, hasn't he, Congolo?
I also had him in my dream team as well, so yeah.
You mentioned Steve Mounier.
It's just not going.
Hamill, what happened in that one?
Hello. What are we looking at?
Huddersfield.
What 30-yard screamer from distance.
Huddersfield.
It's just not happening for him, is it?
It's just not happening for Huddersfield at all.
So what's the actual vibe like around Huddersfield? The fans
I think obviously
to go
last
down?
season, I think no one expected them to go up. So when they went up, it was amazing. No one expected them to stay up, and then they stayed up, and it was
absolute shot from distance here. Huddersfield looking to get back in the game. It's 20-30 yards out.
It's a
great save
from Ben Foster.
Ben Foster tips it onto the bar. What a save that is.
Ben Foster has been one of the most underrated goalkeepers for the last 2 or 3 seasons. His numbers are pretty solid. But Watford on the counter here.
Just what I was thinking with Huddersfield is, I just think it's a really good football club. Like, when they went up, they still charge their season ticket holders. Some of them got their season tickets for last season for £100.
Wow.
And when the chairman was asked why haven't you put the season ticket prices up, he went, well, we're getting a load of money from the Premier League, so why would we charge the fans more?
Very
and I
much
think
the
that's like a
German way of
really,
thinking,
and it's just, I just think that's a sort
Good
of
scruples.
attitude that you wish was more prevalent.
It's a very good point, because it's famous for Borussia Dortmund, Leverkusen and Munich's season ticket prices are incredible for what the football they're getting.
The big concern for me is if they do go down, and it looks like they will go down, what happens with Wagner? And then if he does go, who they replace him with? Because stating the obvious, he's been so integral to that, and the culture they've developed at the club, and that would be the big challenge. How do you go out and find another absolute diamond in the rough?
Overperform massively, so they'll have to reassess
But
themselves.
it would be
as
an
a club.
attractive club to go to, I think. They're not going to be too short of money, having spent a couple of seasons in the Premier League. Then there's parachute payments. So they're not going to be at the level when they were at when I first started, living up there, which was kind of going League One and things like that.
Do you work for the Huddersfield
No,
Tourism
I don't, mate. I'm just an advocate for disability in the town of Huddersfield. Thank you very much.
Alex Brooker says visit Huddersfield.
Nothing but positivity.
Nothing
for
but
Huddersfield.
positivity.
So if Huddersfield score, we see Alex Brooker off, celebrating, animated.
I really want them to do well. Yeah, they are. Yeah, I really want them.
Ooh.
I'm desperate for them to stay up and do well. I don't think they will, but I would like it.
And obviously, your main team is Arsenal. Do you get to go to Arsenal much because you live in Huddersfield?
No, I do. I go down, as much as I can because I work down here. So I get to go to a few games. I was there Monday night, and again, it was like again, I don't want to be like the pessimistic Arsenal fan, but Leicester were much the better team on Monday night. But the second half we were incredible. That's Watford nearly scored again, but that's like as good an atmosphere in the second half at Arsenal, especially when that third goal went in. That's as happy as I've seen people for ages, and it was like there was no worries about what's the viral video from Arsenal fans TV going to be this time? Who's going to be getting their megaphone out and stuff like that? Who's going to have a sign at the ground? There's no signs anymore. I really like that. No homemade signs. It's just it's a bit more positivity about the place.
All the chances for we've got our Arsenal back. I mean,
I think that
there's still very strong shades of last season. You're good going forward.
You've got to bear in mind, mate,
defensively.
But that chant went up when we were beating Fulham away 5-1.
Yeah.
And given the fact that last season, from the turn of 2018, the only away game that we won was against Huddersfield. So I've been to quite a lot of Arsenal aways over the last few years, and we have seen some absolute dross.
Yeah.
So to actually beat someone, it did feel like we did have a bit of
I'll tell you what is an unbelievable insight into Arsenal.
The football we're playing, though, some of the goals at the moment are superb.
The goals against Leicester.
The third goal, and the goal against Fulham that Ramsey scored as well was ridiculous.
Yeah, he's played great for us. There's no doubt about that, is there?
But there was a fallacy under the latest years under Wenger that we're still playing good football. We weren't. We used to go all the time. We used to think this is rubbish. Some of it was terrible football, especially away from home. It was awful.
What was interesting as well, a lot of the critique with Arsenal this season is that the teams that you've played, people say, well, they haven't beaten anyone particularly great, but because the fixtures have been quite kind to you.
They have. I mean, after losing the first two games,
they were the games you weren't winning last season. So there's a clear improvement.
No, they weren't. They weren't the games that we at all. Those games against kind of Everton at home, but Watford as well. We'd have definitely either drawn or got beat.
Points,
it seems to be going from. Also, a lot of players are doing better. Certainly, like Iwobi. I'm happy when I'm proved to be talking absolute rubbish about football. And on Iwobi, if he'd have gone in the summer, I wouldn't have cared. But looking at him this season, he's been so much better.
Talking rubbish at Arsenal games.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Alex tells me some wonderful stories about the people that sit around him at the Emirates with their season ticket. Some unbelievable characters. I think, really, I'm pushing for Alex to write this as a sitcom moving forward. There's some unbelievable characters.
There's a guy who sits near me. I'm not going to name him, but tried to convince me a few seasons ago during a midweek game. I think we were playing Sunderland. It was grim. We were playing rubbish. It was raining. He just slid over to sit next to me. He went, Dele Alli's he's a traveller. And I went, sorry, what? And he went, yeah, he lives in a caravan. He's part of a travelling community. I went, he's not, mate. He plays for Tottenham in England. Genuinely, that's no slur on the travelling community. I know we're on television, but he's going to have a house. And he went, no. He took his caravan from Milton Keynes to North London. I was like, well, where does he park it? And then, other people joined in. They were like, this is genuine during the game, right? And they went to him, you're talking absolute rubbish. A few people were just like, come on, mate, behave yourself. like, people thought that he'd had a couple of drinks. I don't think he had, which was worrying.
Right.
Anyway, he goes, do you know what? Yeah, you're probably right. Slides back over, and then about 10 minutes later, there's another break in play, and he comes in and goes, sorry, fellas, I didn't tell you. It was a 2-bedroom caravan. And it was. Some of the things I hear, it's my favourite thing, and the game was so
I just love the fact it's during the game.
During the game, honestly, yeah, but it was like, yeah, some of the stuff that gets talked about, like, first game of the season against City, I'm sure he won't. But he went to me, during the middle of the game, he just went...
Yeah,
same guy. During the first game of the season against City, we'd just gone 2-0 down, and he went, yeah, I tell you what, though, I'll never get over that fact that Honcho should have been sent off 2001 Cup final. And I was like... I mean, it was 17 years ago. I was upset. Don't get me wrong, I was devastated. It was my first cup final that I'd been to live. I was devastated, but I made my peace with it. I mean, it's only the first game of the new season. Like, you know, maybe like a Europa League game towards the end. Qarabag at home. Maybe throw that in the mix. But come on.
I love the fact that it just keeps sliding over to you to go.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
you good 5 minutes to realise you were talking about Stefan Honcho then from Liverpool. Like,
yeah, I know. Yeah.
What? Who?
Yeah. Oh, how old were you when that?
2001.
Yeah.
10 probably.
Oh, dear me.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely, as we
you were
progress
bored.
down the sofa, we have a different sort of... different memories from different periods, let's just say. That's the respectful way to...
Those of us that still have our memories, of course, Chris, you know.
I'd like to see that sitcom. So
I know, yeah.
Do you
know what?
It'd be genius,
I wouldn't mind to, yeah. Somebody, there was also like an argument with people because somebody was like having a go at Peter Cech, and it was like the 7th. It was like in the first 20 minutes of the first game.
Yeah,
I think Leno's done all right since he's come in.
Yeah,
he's been decent.
Interesting to see what'll happen when they're both fit. Will he stick with Leno? Do you think Cech will come back in?
I think. Huddersfield might have a chance here. Get your shot away.
Oh, another chance for Huddersfield.
Aaron Moy on the edge of the box, and I've got to say, Fulham are riding their luck at the moment with Bournemouth, and nothing of note has happened in Southampton versus Newcastle, at least from the fragments I've been watching. But still, Brighton well under the cosh here, Wolves pinning them into their final third. Raul Jimenez.
Chance for Newcastle.
Oh, here we go, and Southampton clear.
And it's cleared.
With consummate ease, in true Mark Hughes style, by pumping it down into a central area. Look at that. Look at that football on display. That's gone into Rose Ed.
Pete, social corner.
Yes, there's actually a question here from our very own Zach Jalab.
Get in there,
And he's asked, after scoring a hat-trick on Thursday, should Loftus-Cheek be starting for Chelsea this weekend?
Good question, that. Good question from Zach.
Chelsea fan?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because...
Are you? You're a Chelsea fan?
I am.
Oh,
he's made the decision to stay, isn't he? Sarri said he'd like him to stay. He didn't have a full pre-season, obviously, as a result of the World Cup, which I don't think helped him massively. And then ultimately, there's some very good players in front of him. He's had his opportunity. He's taken his opportunity. I don't think he'll play. I think there's only 62 hours between the game they played Thursday night and the game they play tomorrow. But all he can keep doing is taking the opportunities, and maybe he'll get the chance. Like Ross Barkley, another young English player who stayed there this summer and has taken his...
as good, in front of him. That must be quite disheartening.
But again, Barkley's taken the opportunity and sort of grabbed it with both hands, I'd say.
I mean, Sarri said that the reason he's not playing is because tactically he doesn't fit into that 4-3-3, and Chelsea probably have the best midfield three in the Premier League at the moment, don't they, in terms of being well balanced, complementing each other's skill sets. I'd say the weakest area, and this might be controversial, is probably Kante in terms of his effectiveness this season. Don't get me wrong, he's still the best defensive midfielder in the world.
He's been pushed forward.
But he's playing that Alan role, and Alan was sort of box to box, put up massive numbers on the attacking end and defensive end for Napoli last season. But it's definitely a gear change which appears to be to Kante's detriment, doesn't it? He's still averaging a decent amount of shots per game. I think it's 3, which is by far and away his most productive season in front of goal. But he's been taken out, or he's been like chopped and changed, actually more so than Jorginho and Kovacic, who appear to be a little bit more important to Sarri's philosophy.
I agree. I just wonder whether maybe it's worth playing Loftus-Cheek as a number 9.
I think
because Morata has got serious problems, and it both doesn't look like he wants to be there mentally
There's a
or
serious
physically.
issue with Morata, isn't there?
Giroud's done a great job, hasn't he? But, you know, why not? I think Conte said it when he was in charge, that he felt Loftus-Cheek's best position potentially was as a number 9.
Well, like a false 9 or it's just an out-and-out 9? That's...
I think Conte just said as an out-and-out 9.
Yeah,
Physically, he's got quite a lot.
But did you say that was it 62 hours between the... That sounds like something you're going to bring up as an excuse if they get beat. Well, it was only 62 hours between the games. What are we meant to do? You know, the fixture list is against us, so...
It's an excuse I'll bring up if any of these bets as well.
Every fan of a top team does that when you're playing in the Europa League, don't you?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Ultimately, it works against you at the weekend.
Look, the squad's deep enough at Chelsea as well, isn't it?
But going back to the question, Ruben Loftus-Cheek must be thinking, what more have I got to do to start? I understand Sarri's come in, he's brought a different philosophy, he's pushed Kante out wide, he's changed that. I think that 3, I agree with Chris, is fantastic. But also, you've got to be looking at it from Barkley's and Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who are already there, thinking, well, why are we bringing these players in when I've shown you what I can do? That must be very frustrating for Loftus-Cheek, because a lot of people said he would have been better off leaving and getting regular first team. A lot of people said that.
January will be critical, won't it, as to whether he does go out on loan. Look, Palace is the obvious one. Again, he had a good loan spell there last season. You feel like January could be a real pivotal point in his whole career at Chelsea. To be honest,
I think you could look further afield than just the Premier League. Look at Jadon Sancho this year. You know, he had the conviction to go out and go to the Bundesliga for Dortmund. I route that not a lot of British young players take.
Scored his first Champions League goal.
Yeah, scored, and he's got something like 8 assists, 9 assists, and 3 goals.
One of the highest assists of any player in the top 5
in
leagues.
less than 600 minutes on the pitch.
Yeah, and Reece Nelson's out there at Hoffenheim, absolutely killing. Oh, hello, chance for Wolves, and they've missed an absolute sitter. But yeah, just to go back to Reece Nelson, he's killing it for Hoffenheim, and they're much younger than Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who's 22, 23 now, isn't he? But historically, Sarri tends to stick to his 11, which I'm sure will be on Ruben Loftus-Cheek's mind. And I'm not quite sure. This miss might be on... Was that Raul Jimenez? I can't see. It's from quite far away.
I think it was Jimenez,
No, I don't think it is.
No, it's not. It's a good chance, though, Hammond, isn't it? Oh, just wide.
Yeah, I think it's cut in there from the left-hand side. And, yeah, he's rolled it just... Doherty, yeah. Just put it past the goalkeeper's right-hand post, but Wolves firmly on top, yeah.
I think the interesting bit, going back to Loftus-Cheek, is... Look at some of England's best players now. Harry Maguire, Harry Kane, Dele Alli. By the time they were 20 years old, 21 years old, they had 100 appearances under their belt from going and playing lower league football, either on loan or permanently at clubs. And now you look at Jadon Sancho, you look at players like Mason Mount. They've gone away and they've just gone and played football, and that is integral to a youngster's development.
Yeah, the Loftus-Cheek thing, I respect his decision to say, like, he backed himself that he was good enough to get into that team, but it's kind of transpired that he clearly isn't in the starting selection for Sarri. So I think he needs to kind of suck it up and move on, maybe.
He had in the World Cup, he played quite a bit of game time, although he didn't start. He had a lot of minutes in the World Cup, and obviously, would he have had those minutes had he been at Chelsea last season? Would he have even been in the World Cup squad?
Yeah, he wouldn't have got selected.
Absolutely.
So he's got to be keeping one eye on his England
Surely
future.
also that thing about the fact that... I don't want to keep going on about there's not been long between the 2 games. But if you're him, though, if you're 62 hours, but if you're Loftus-Cheek, you're not going to care, surely. Unless you're just going to want to play again.
Also,
he's not going to be sat there thinking, I did play.
If you're not playing week in, week out.
62 hours ago.
It's been only 62 hours. I couldn't possibly play again.
On the subject of that, Spurs have got a game Monday night, Manchester City at Wembley, a day after the NFL, and they play Wednesday night at West Ham in the Carabao Cup 2 days later. So I'm not having 68 hours.
Wasn't that one of like the 6 times you were meant to be opening the stadium?
Which I'm really glad, considering it is all over social media, back page of every newspaper, the Spurs
I love the
stadium debacle. We haven't spoken about it yet, so thanks for bringing that up.
I've just been biding my time.
The pictures of a half-finished stadium, and it's like, Spurs announced that it won't be finished in 2018, and you're looking at it like, yes... Like, it's the skeleton of a stadium there. It's not even close to being finished. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It was ambitious that when they thought they were going to get it done that quickly, though, wasn't it? I remember ours took like a while.
We've all had bad experiences with builders, haven't we? You know,
it took him
at least 2 weeks extra to fit my kitchen. So,
how big's your kitchen? Wow. Yeah, it is a bit of a, as I say, the news, in case someone didn't see it, all of Spurs' 2018 games will take place at Wembley. The interesting thing that a lot of people aren't picking up on is that everyone's going with the story that Spurs won't be in their new stadium until January. We haven't actually announced that we'll be in January. The actual announcement was we won't be in until December. So there's a chance we may not be in January either. There hasn't been a date when it's actually been announced we'll move in. I think there is a real possibility Spurs won't be in this season.
It's very strange, isn't it, to set yourself such a tough deadline.
Yeah.
You know, always under-promise and over-deliver. That's got to be sort of like metaphor for
that was in my
for any
marriage
kind of
vows.
business.
But as a Spurs fan, would you mind? As a Spurs fan, would you mind not like because you know everyone keeps talking about the stadium, but if they'd have spent some money in the summer, would it matter as much? Would you just go, well, it's one of those things, delays happen, but it seems to be kind of like a bone of contention at the moment because the stadium. I don't know with Tottenham whether it was like with Arsenal when they went to the Emirates, it was like, well, they've spent all the money on the stadium, so we didn't have a lot for players, whether that was why they didn't go in for anyone.
Yeah, it's a very good point, actually. I think that's why the fans are so frustrated because at the end of last season, Levy told Pochettino there'd be between 100 and 150 million for Spurs to spend. And let's not forget, Spurs didn't not spend because we didn't have the funds. We were linked with a lot of players.
Yeah.
The deals never happened. So I think the fans' frustration, or certainly the ones I've spoken to, is that the fact the stadium's been delayed and we haven't spent money because... Was it because of the new stadium and not spending money? The fact that neither's happened is the frustration. So if we were in the new stadium, you'd sort of understand it, or if we hadn't spent money, you'd sort of understand it. But if it comes to January, I'll tell you now, if it comes to January and they don't spend and we're not in the new stadium, they'll be
it's just a comedy of errors.
Frustrating.
And that advert that you put on the tubes come back to haunt you.
Yeah.
Hasn't it?
Yeah.
The new Tottenham Stadium, the only place to watch Champions League.
I think it was the only
football in
place you
London.
can watch Champions League
Always
football in
tempted
London. The Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and obviously Champions League results haven't gone our way so far, but we're not out.
I mean, I'm not being that smug about it. We're not in it, but what?
No, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. But it's because Tottenham, surely, I mean, they're only a couple of players away from being real.
Yeah,
as much as I hate to say that.
A central midfielder and another striking option for me is what we're away.
Would you have had Shaqiri at Tottenham?
Yes, definitely.
For that money as well.
Yeah.
It's not even a money thing.
The big one that we were linked with, and I think most Spurs fans will say the same, I certainly was Zaha. He was the big one we were linked with that I thought would have made a real difference to that team, especially this season when you've seen that Eriksen's been injured, Ali's been injured.
But Zaha
Son's
was
been at the
actually
Asian
75
Games.
million. Would you be willing to spend that on Wilfried Zaha?
It's a good point. It would have been expensive, but this goes back to my original point that it wasn't that Spurs didn't have this money in the first place because we were told that they would spend over 100 million. So Zaha, for me, is one of the best players outside of the top six. So in terms of who we can realistically attract, he'd have been right up there. And I think Spurs could have potentially got him as well. That's the frustrating part.
I think you're all right in wide positions. Like Zaha, yes, his take on numbers are really good this season, but in terms, and he's Palace's top goal scorer, but in terms of his overall effectiveness, it's largely inconsistent. You've got so I'm trying to watch 4 games at the same time as well. Lucas Moura, obviously, who's
I'm a big fan of Lucas Moura.
who's been great from a wide position. You've got. That's just hit the foot of the post there. Southampton and Newcastle, by the way, just a game of who can bombard it into the box the most at the moment. Whereas some decent football going on in the Brighton Wolves game. I think you need to, going back to Tottenham, you need to find a long-term replacement for Mousa Dembélé in central midfield, don't you? We discussed this before, but you've got Eric Dyer in central midfield, an aging Mousa Dembélé. Eriksen, massive creative onus on him, and Dele Alli and Harry Kane as well. And
Harry Winks is the player that's integral, I think, to the Spurs team, and dare I say, possibly England as well.
But if you're competing in the Champions League and if you're pushing to go beyond top 4, then Harry Winks as your backup option is not good enough in terms of depth.
You don't think?
He's a fine player, and I really like big elements of his game. Very strong technically, very comfortable on the ball, a good pass, a good short game, good range. But if Tottenham want to take it to the next level, then you need to invest quite heavily in pivotal positions. Like Pochettino has cut the most. He's got a really frustrated figure this season. This is the most cagey I've ever seen him in post-match press conferences, and it appears to be getting to him, this lack of willingness to partake in spending big.
Yeah, I think there's that window between Spurs actually investing in big players and the big players they currently have moving on. That window is shortening and shortening.
At least
you've got a couple of
big stars down.
Well, interesting on that note, though.
Of the big stars,
Dele Alli?
well, I was going to say Pochettino. Does he stay, or does the lure of Real Madrid finally start to appeal to him?
A bit of trivia about Dele Alli.
Be available.
A bit of trivia about Dele. I don't know if you know this. But, I'm not getting too smug about like kind of Tottenham appearing to struggle because we've got, I think, the first North London derby is at what, December the 2nd, I think.
Yeah.
So Arsenal have got some big games coming up. We've got Liverpool
and
next
Spurs,
week.
yeah.
We've got Spurs like a month after that. So.
And also Tottenham are only 2 points.
Yeah,
off
exactly.
Man City.
Yeah,
and we're playing Man City. If Spurs beat Man City, we could go top one day. So we'll wait and see.
Obviously, Brighton had equalised, missed an absolute sitter at the back post. Is that Pascal Gross?
Oh, because Houghton looks unhappy with that.
No, it's not. It's one of Dunk or Duffy.
This Liverpool, this Liverpool
Big,
Cardiff
strapping
game.
white centre backs.
Liverpool Cardiff. Updated, Sandro.
I'm not saying it's a one-sided affair, but
it's a one-sided
Liverpool
affair.
have had 79% possession.
79%.
5 corners to Cardiff's none, and 5 shots to Cardiff's none. Cardiff haven't even mustered a shot on or off target in the first 42 minutes of this game. It really is one.
I mean, I think Liverpool are conceding the second fewest chances after Manchester City. They are very hard to penetrate.
Yeah.
There we go. Get away. Go on, carry on.
What I was going to ask is, so if you were very strong stats odds, much in favour of Liverpool. If you were texting Alex Brooker now a dead cert, which you like doing, what would be a tip?
Do you know what's really interesting? Is I think if I now text Alex Brooker with a dead cert, he's already blocked me.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Great answer.
One of those blue double ticks, no reply.
Yeah.
Alexander-Arnold score free kick, 9-1 now.
I do think something like Liverpool 3 or 4-0, 3-0 7-2, 4-0 13-2.
13-2.
Something like that, I think, at the moment would appeal because, I mean, Cardiff don't offer a great deal going forward.
No.
Liverpool, I think they've conceded 10 in their last 25 home games at Anfield in the league.
Liverpool's record at home is very strong.
They haven't conceded a goal at home in the league this season. So,
what are you doing with the money that I've put on there?
I've invested it wisely for you.
I've given Sandro the chance to redeem himself.
Have you?
And he's running my account today.
With your permission,
With
of course.
my permission, obviously. And always gamble responsibly. Don't just give your betting account details to someone else.
Well said, Alex Brooker.
People watching
When the fun stop, Alex.
the fun stopped when Norway beat Iceland.
The fun certainly stopped.
And
let's update you with the scores around the grounds. Brighton is still 0-0 against Wolves. Fulham 0, Bournemouth 1. Callum Wilson from the penalty spot. Fulham, dreadful starts to the season. They badly need a point or win in that one. Liverpool in our feature game are currently 1-0 up against Cardiff. Mo Salah after 10 minutes. And perhaps Liverpool should have had a penalty as well. Southampton, Newcastle is 0-0 and Watford are 2-0 up against Huddersfield. Pereira and Delafeu. Hammer, we haven't spoken much about Southampton, Newcastle. Was there anything going on in that game at all?
No, we haven't. And like I said, 5-10 minutes in, I expect this to be very attritional. Neither side great at passing. Neither side got particularly good creative numbers. But what I will say is that Danny Ings has pretty much carried their attack this season. And, we've just pumped another ball in.
4 goals in 8 starts,
long
Danny
into
Ings.
the box. Yes, and he's the only Southampton player who's having over 3 shots a game. He's even creating chances for his teammates as well. So he's doing a tremendous job there. A really productive loan stint for him. Probably won't return to Liverpool. I mean, they're trying to flog Divock Origi. Sturridge can't get a game. And who's the young British guy?
Solanke. Solanke?
Yes, Dominic Solanke. So he might be a decent pickup. I don't know what the
If I was someone
deal
like
is.
Huddersfield.
Yeah.
Huddersfield needs someone who, with a bit of pace, who can get him behind.
Is that bloke Ryan Brewster at Liverpool as well?
Ryan Brewster, the youngster, he's got, I mean, it's like 17, 18, isn't he?
He's
fared very well at the under-17 World Cup.
Good.
But other than that, like I said, just a series of getting it out wide, long crosses into the box. John Joe Shelby trying bits through the middle. But apart from that, I mean, I expect a player like Ings or Ryan Bertrand to make the difference. But Newcastle's attack is horrid, isn't it? I've not seen much of Muto, apart from that despicable goal against Manchester United, where it took about 3 years to turn inside.
It was going well for them at that point, wasn't it?
Before he scored, and then Joselu. We've spoken about Joselu at length on this programme, and it's just become it's low-hanging fruit now, isn't it? He's not a Premier League striker. I don't think he's ever scored. Hello.
Off the line.
Chance in our feature game. Alex Brooker, tell us what happened.
I think it was Moreno did actually picked out a really decent cross, and there was a header. I can't remember who was the header. But it was just cleared off the line. It was great.
Oh, nice little
good cross.
That's like out the bunker, wasn't it?
Oh, he's right off the line. Etheridge is beaten. He's beaten all ends up. and it is
Was it
cleared
Lallana?
off the
And it was
line.
Off the line.
So it's still only 1-0. It's all Liverpool in this game. Can't emphasise how dominant Liverpool are. And it's half-time. All Liverpool, as Sandra said earlier. Price boost on your screen right now. Incidentally, Van Dijk score ahead. It was 7-1. That is now 8-1 with Sky Bet. Don't forget, you must be 18 plus. Full terms and conditions apply. All the stats, possession, shots on target, chances created, all in favour massively for Liverpool. But they do only lead 1-0 at half-time. So Cardiff still in that game.
All the other games, well, are winding up now, but there's a corner at Craven Cottage.
Yeah.
And...
Oh! What happened, Chris?
I mean, deceiving camera angle there. That looked like it might have nestled in the bottom right, but it didn't. I think, was it Seri on corners finally putting a decent ball in? I think that might be Kamara. Again, players very small on my screen. So, ultimately, Bournemouth escape. They could have conceded on the stroke after I'm there. And Timothy Fosu-Mensah complaining in the refs here. No doubt that early booking and penalty conceded.
These are the scenes at Vicarage Road. It's Watford 2, Huddersfield 0. The half-time whistle has gone. Roberto Pereira after 10 minutes and Gerard Deulofeu after 19 minutes. 2 good goals in that game. Ben Foster's made some good saves as well. Huddersfield have had some chances. Shot from effort, I believe, from Aaron Moy that was off the crossbar. On replay show, it was a great save from Ben Foster, who's having a good season for Watford. And Watford continue their impressive start to the season. 2-0 at Vicarage Road at the break in that one.
I'm not saying this Southampton game's a boring one, but if they were playing in the back garden, you'd close the curtains. It is absolutely
not a lot going on.
It?
And another half-time whistle's just gone at Craven Cottage. Fulham, poor start to season continues. They're losing, shall I say, 1-0 to Bournemouth. Callum Wilson from the penalty spot after 14 minutes.
Absolute typical Sandro call then. That was nearly a goal in the Southampton.
Was it? Oh, yeah, do you know who almost scored it? Do you know who almost scored it?
Who was it?
Jack Stevens.
A fact about Jack Stevens.
Go on.
People think that actually he came through the Southampton youth system, but actually he was bought from Plymouth.
There you go.
He's got plenty more interesting facts as well.
This was my, this was a
How have you got 2
Brighton 0, Wolves 0 is half-time as well.
I don't know. That was the pre-game chat me and Sandro had.
And another half-time. There's your man, Jack Stevens. The half-time whistle blown at St Mary's. It is Southampton 0, Newcastle 0. So nothing much to report in that game.
Josh Widdicombe's a Plymouth fan as well.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, Widdicombe's a I never knew that Sandro had a soft spot for him until today when he was telling me Jack Stevens facts, as opposed to planning our night out tonight. So it should be a fun one, guys.
I'm not saying the conversation was dull before we did the show, Smithy.
But let's move swiftly on, Sandra. Accumulated doing OK at the minute. I went for an away win, Brighton 0, Wolves 0. So that's still in the balance. Hamill said away win. Hampster, good shout so far, mate. Bournemouth 1-0 up against Craven Cottage. And from what you said, it has been all Bournemouth in that game. Alex Brooker went for a home win. Liverpool 1, Cardiff 0. We'd be amazed, based on what Sandra said with those stats, if Liverpool didn't win that one. Sandra went for a draw. Good shout so far. It is Southampton 0, Newcastle 0. Dorman went for a home win. Pete. Big call, mate, and it's going your way. Watford 2, Huddersfield 0. That is 40-1. Sandro, it's going well for us.
It's going really well. And if you do want to cash out, for every pound you get £2.81 back. So almost 2-1 now for your £1. But we don't want that, do we? We want a 40-1 winner.
We want a 40-1.
Yeah. But yeah, look, we've got 4 results in the bag at the moment. So you take that at half-time, generally.
Yeah, but three of them are 1-0.
Yes, and we all know.
Pete's just killed him there.
That's the difference. I'm a half-full kind of guy, Pete, at the end of the day, you know.
I am Football Daily's most disagreeable man.
Pete is an infamous no man, so, you know, he's definitely not.
Even if I don't believe it, I'll still argue.
We will be updating the accumulator, of course, later on, after the full-time whistle have gone. So all of our 3 o'clocks are at the half-time stage, which means we can now see what Alex Scott got up to when she interviewed Mesut Ozil earlier on in this week.
How would you sum up the start to your season?
I think it's going well. We are on the 4th position, so we know we can reach more. So my thing is on the pitch to show my potential, to help my team, and now it's going well, especially with the goals, so I have to give maybe some more assists. But I think we have the potential to win something with the team, and hopefully end of the season we win some trophies with the club.
Unai Emery's coming in. What has he changed within this Arsenal team and within the dressing room?
So he's younger, and especially the Spanish guys want to make everything perfect. the team understands him. He shows us his character, how we want to play. Of course, we need time to understand everything, but it's going well. We're in a good way, and he's a very good coach.
When you hear what the manager has said when he's spoken out, that he'd like you to be more dominant, how do you take that?
You know what? I'm a very calm person, so of course on the pitch sometimes I get very emotional because if I make mistakes or if I give a wrong pass, or because I want to make everything perfect.
Yeah.
But the coach wants from me that I give everything on the pitch, what I do. So I still work hard to reach my aims.
It's interesting that you said about working hard, because I suppose a common criticism of you and this perception is that you're a lazy player. What do you say when you hear things like that?
I just laugh him because I'm I get 30, so I'm not the youngest one anymore, but you know, I started with 16, 17 to play professional football. It always was like that, up and downs. The people like me or doesn't like me. I don't listen to them. Of course, if I play bad, I know that. But if I played good, so I know that as well. But the most important thing is the coach can help me. So if I make mistakes, he can tell me, then we can speak and I can do it better in the next games. I have always motivation, especially before the games. I want to win all the games, and I hate to lose.
And I'm glad you already mentioned it. You have now turned 30. For you, what are your ambitions now going forward?
You want always win some titles, and I hope we can reach that with the team because we have the potential. We are on the good way, but we know as well Premier League and other competitions are in front of us, and it will be hard, but we will give everything to reach our goals.
Interesting there, Alex.
Yeah.
Mesut Ozil, when Arsenal weren't going through their best sort of period, shall we say, last season, he always seems to be the one that was criticised for his work rate. Do you think that was... he gets unfair criticism, or is some of it warranted?
I think some of it is warranted. I think some of it has been warranted. There's been a lot of games when he's gone missing, but then a lot of them have gone missing in games. I think the thing with Mesut is the scrutiny's on him because, first of all, he's our playmaker, and a lot more is expected of him. Also, the fact they gave him that massive contract. They gave him that massive contract, and you know, I know the team weren't performing well, but towards the end of last season, he wasn't great. Actually, this season, he's not been amazing. He looked better against Leicester the other night. I'm not one of those people who just dig Ozil out all the time because you've got so many options to choose from at Arsenal. You've got Ozil, Xhaka, Mustafi. Why would you just dig one of them out?
Such a positive
you know, there's favourites.
Go on then, dig some more out.
There's favourites that people have a go at. It's like, you know, Bellerin gets dug out and then you know, he's out of position and he goes and gives you 2 assists. Like, you know, the other day. I
thought it was interesting. You didn't talk to Xhaka. Glenn Hoddle claiming that Granit Xhaka's future could be as a left back.
Really?
Well, he played left back.
Yeah,
he played left back against Leicester.
He wasn't 20 minutes.
Yeah, he did all right against Leicester at left back. He wasn't as good in the week against Sporting, but obviously that's not his position. Also,
did he start left back against?
Yeah,
Sporting?
he did. Yeah, he put in like one. Tackling's not his strong point at the best. On Ozil though, I think the frustrating thing is you can see that you know he can do it. But the problem with him is that he doesn't always. But when he's on form, like what he was, second half especially on Monday night, there's very few players better to watch, I don't think.
Yeah. On that note, just heard Glenn Hoddle has been rushed to hospital today, so everyone, Soccer and Football Daily, wishes Glenn a speedy recovery. Hamster, Ozil, what are your thoughts on Ozil? I know you watch a lot of him play. Yeah, do you think he gets unfairly criticised sometimes? I
absolutely love him. I mean, when... he's becoming a bit more of a specialist, isn't he? And when he's dropped into certain systems, it can leave him a little bit exposed and he can become open to very gammony criticism. But he still, by and large, when he plays, does what he's there for, which is to create high-quality chances. Against Leicester, I like the fact that he dropped deep and he did pretty much drag that Arsenal sort of midfield.
He was driving forward.
And technically so good, isn't he?
He's unbelievable. Some of his touches sometimes, like his touch, I know that like the third goal was amazing football, but his touch, with like it was like the outside of his left foot for Aubameyang's goal was just
the little flick on the halfway line.
It was just
delightful.
And he scored a goal last season like that when he was through on goal. Instead of slotting it, he just dinks it with an like the outside of his boot over
he
the
does that
keeper.
also. He's got that like weird shot that he likes to do, where he almost like kind of bounces it off the ground, and he's phenomenal. He's such a phenomenally gifted player, which is why I think people.
Do you think he gets criticism because he's not, like, on the face of it, it's easy to say he's lazy. He looks lazy because he's not a traditional English-style player. He doesn't go running around.
It's not his game. It's not but he comes on and runs around like a headless chicken.
I don't think he should get the criticism. I'm just saying. That's why he gets criticism.
Uli Hoeneß, one of the chairmen of Bayern, was aimed at criticism as well, didn't he? Saying he hadn't completed a tackle in the German side since 2014. So it's not just an English mentality. I kind of think the criticism of him is multi-layered, and it's probably a little bit too extensive to go into. But if Emery can get the best out of him in is he playing a 4-2-3-1 at the minute or a 4-3-3? Just sort of, he needs to play a 10, doesn't he?
Basically. Well, Ramsey's been playing there recently, and he's pushed Ozil out wide, which is I don't understand why you don't build.
Ozil out wide doesn't really.
Emery should be building that team around Ozil. I think he's Arsenal's best.
Especially now they've been off Ramsey.
And
that's still. I mean, I still can't. I don't know. You hear like various things, but why would they? Because Ramsey's now also come out and it's wide knowledge now. He's acknowledged the fact that they've pulled the contract,
and that's quotes from his team as well.
And he's also acknowledged it now. So it's like I don't understand what the thinking was there, because Ramsey again is he's a decent player. So and by accounts to Ramsey, they'd agreed a deal. So what is it? They've agreed a deal and then they've gone back and gone, actually, he's not worth this money over the number of years. I don't really understand what's gone on there, because I thought they were going to try and build the team more around Ramsey, but because obviously Ozil's money. I don't think it's a bad move. I don't know though, because again we're losing. How many times is it with Arsenal with this contract situation where you let players run down their contract and then all of a sudden it's like Welbeck. Now, Welbeck, I wouldn't say would automatically be a starter for me, but we're looking at letting him go. His contract's out in the summer. No one's even talking about that. And so
it's hard to know what's going on currently between the head of recruitment side, or
the money
and
thing
what's going on with the head coach and Emery.
It should be more coherent. You've got Sven Mislintat, haven't you? You've actually got a director of football. Arsenal fans have been pining for a director of football for years. You've got him, and he's signed Socrates and who else? Guendouzi, I suppose.
Yeah, Guendouzi's. I'll absolutely love him. But
Torreira's been a great signing.
Torreira. I've been crying out for. Oh, cheers.
The Bruiser back in.
You. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Top man.
So bit of inspiration for you. Just do it myself, guys. So just for anyone who doesn't, believe in you can achieve.
Well, what we were telling us earlier, the most influential disabled person as voted by the people.
Yeah, most inspirational disabled person. Not inspirational.
Influential.
It's not inspirational. Sorry, I'm being silly. It was most influential. I think I want to be, because I want to win it. Yeah, it was like there's a panel that convene and they kind of talk about the influential disabled people, and I ended up coming top of this list.
Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, it is. I mean, if you're going to be disabled, you might as well be the best one. I don't really know where I'm going with that. But I want to be like City. Like now I'm number one. I want to stay there. I'm going to invest in all the top legs, mittens, make sure that I'm ahead of the rest of the amputees next season.
On that note, I don't know what to say on that note. Alex, you've been a fantastic guest.
You've had on the Football Social before. Really, so the teams are back out. Firmino looks good. What's the price boost, Sandro?
This is the season. Anfield, Liverpool and Cardiff are both back out in the second half. It's Liverpool 1, Cardiff 0 currently. Thanks to that man, Mo Salah, after 10 minutes. There's the scenes at Craven Cottage. Fulham and Bournemouth. Bournemouth players look very quick, aren't they? There was Adam Smith, Eddie Howe, Oh, running
They
very
look
quickly.
very quick coming out of the tunnel.
Look how quick they're running back onto the pitch. Never seen a team running so quickly for the second half. All of them. They currently lead 1-0.
He's still getting over the joke. All the players are running very
Change
quickly.
the subject.
I don't even know how we got to it.
Watford.
Look
Seems
at
a
that
bit
classic
road.
shot of the Brighton versus Wolves game at Seagull, you know. So
Watford, Huddersfield 2-0. Roberto Pereira and Gerard Deulofeu give Watford the 2-0 lead. Gloves, it is, of course. The yellow ball is back, start of the winter season, and the gloves are out, aren't they?
Gloves are out.
Gloves actually deserve to be out today, don't they? Unlike players that have worn them sort of at the start of September and what have you. You do feel like you could justify.
Interesting warm-up at Wolves here. See what they're doing. This is at Brighton. Brighton 0, Wolves 0. Wolves players have been out for quite a while, I'm told. Going through quite a rigorous pre-second half
it's
warm-up.
quite chilly down at the Amex.
Yeah,
They look like they're ready to go, Wolves, don't they? Which is good for our bet. We've gone for a away win on that.
that was
haven't we?
my prediction.
Yeah.
I ummed and erred about whether to go draw or Wolves away win. I went for the Wolves away win. Sandro, statistically and odds backing speaking, was that a good decision?
They were favourites, weren't they? They were favourites for the game.
That's
So
what I thought.
based on the pure maths of it, they have the best chance of winning the game. Yeah, look, statistically, they're obviously a very strong team, Wolves, aren't they? They're certainly very popular with Sky Bet customers today.
Yeah.
That's without a shadow of doubt. I think they're probably one of the sort of top 5 or 6 selections for punters. So whether it's the right decision or not, I'm not sure. But
We'll wait and see.
We shall see.
And these are the scenes at Southampton. There's Bertrand and Charlie Austin having quite a long discussion there. That is 0-0 Southampton Newcastle.
Look at that talent. There's no reason they shouldn't be doing better. Jonathan
reason they
Lamina,
shouldn't be.
one of the most progressive dribblers in the league. You've got Ryan Bertrand, Charlie Austin, Danny Ings. Still, Mark
Interesting
Hughes.
what we were saying earlier
Class.
about how reliant they are on Danny Ings. Danny Ings scoring 4 goals in 8 starts in all competitions. So Danny Ings has had a very good start to his life as a Southampton player. But just to emphasise how important Danny Ings is, Gabbiadini scored 2 goals in his last 32 appearances. Shane Long just 2 goals in his last 64 appearances for club and country. And Charlie Austin not scored in his last 13 Premier League appearances. So very reliant for goals
Charlie
on Danny
Austin
Ings.
prolific there compared to Shane Long.
Yeah, I mean,
64.
you could look at it that way, yeah. Failed to score in 4 successive league games.
You don't want to
Games.
sort of put a professional footballer down and give him a kick in, but like, how can Shane 2 goals in 60-odd appearances?
64 appearances for club and
I mean,
country.
I guess they're mostly bit part players. If you
Can you say?
no, I mean,
I love the fact you went, I don't want to put players down, but that's terrible.
I'm going to smash it.
No, but they're not necessarily bit part players, because before Danny Ings came in, they were their 3 rotational forwards: Gabbiadini, Long, and Austin.
I mean,
It's like they put one in.
I've
Didn't
never seen
score, so they-
Southampton play a front 3.
as in,
and Shane, yeah, I know what you mean.
rotated.
They were getting more game time
Shane
before,
Long
yeah.
has been by and large a sub for the last 4 or 5 years, hasn't he? And they've had Pellegrini as a manager. I've had Puel, who are normally quite conservative. So I'll get it. Southampton, since Coman or Poch, haven't been as expansive as they used to be, but still, like Danny Ings looks inspired, doesn't he?
He does look inspired.
And credit to Danny Ings, because he's had a tough time at Liverpool,
Yeah.
hasn't he? And he's gone straight in, and he's demonstrated he's a good
Yeah, those
honest
2
pro.
injuries,
Yeah.
like, fair play.
Right, Sandra, as the second half unfolds, we're going to be getting loads of in-play betting from you. Before we do that, let's go to Pete Dorman in Social Corner. Pete, what are people talking about on the old social?
Well, I mean, it's fairly dominated by Liverpool chat, and we can just cycle back to the Liverpool defensive chat we had before the end of the first half. And Manhu Ferry-Watt has asked, do you think Liverpool can cope if Virgil van Dijk gets injured? Because this is the thing, he's come in and revolutionised their backline in that he's kind of short.
Don't undersell it, Pete. Revolutionise. That's...
Well, if you look at them last year,
You've gone
with
there.
the likes of Lovren.
Yeah.
Goal in one of your games, Chris.
Goal, Brighton.
And is it Glenn Murray?
Appears to be his 6th of the season there. If, Glenn Murray doesn't score for Brighton, no one does really, do they? So let's just go over this goal. Let's revisit it when the replay comes on.
This is bad for our accumulator. This is bad because we went for a Wolves away win. Talk
Still
us through
thinking
the
about
goal.
Shane Long's goal-scoring record. OK, well, someone is down on the pitch at the moment. Not great in terms of the replay, but let's have a look at some of the games in the interim, because Bournemouth are on the attack again. Young David Brooks there, 10 million arrival from Sheffield Wednesday, I believe. Unfortunate not to score. And this looks nasty.
It's a serious injury in your game.
Can't quite see who is down there at the moment. Let's take a closer look at this clash. Well worked into the box there by Brighton. Nice, tidy little flick. And...
Bruno,
is it Bruno, the long-serving right-back? put himself in there ahead of Adama Traore. A little clash there of the ankle. I didn't see anything else. As he I think he's landed awkward.
I think he's landed, yeah. It's a good finish.
Great finish from
Glenn Murray's always there. Nice little one-touch finishes. Good anticipation from Glenn there, hovering around the back post.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Good and bad for Brighton. It looks like quite a serious injury, but the ball did end up in the back of the net, so it is Brighton 1, Wolves 0. Interesting as well, that is Glenn Murray's 100th goal for Brighton, become the second player ever, only the second Brighton player to score 100 goals. He's the club's joint second top scorer of all time. So a big goal for
Zamora.
Is it? Kit Napier?
Rubbish. Only other Brighton striker I could think of.
Tommy Cook, 129, has scored more. So he's equal with Kit Napier. Tommy Cook, 129 goals. That is Glenn Murray's 100th Brighton goal.
Like a fine wine, isn't he, Glenn Murray?
Yeah. I mean, Glenn Murray, that's his 6th goal this season. I mean, it's incredible, really, isn't it?
I mean,
no?
Decent player. No, I think it is. No, sorry. I just saw that Huddersfield nearly went 3-0 down.
Top scoring Englishman in the Premier League.
Scored goals everywhere he's gone, didn't he? Palace, Bournemouth, Brighton, multiple spells. Good
quite a good run for him at the end of last season as well.
He did, yeah. He had a good end to the season.
Right,
we haven't...
Pete
Dorman,
rolling back to
the floor is yours.
Rolling back to the Virgil van Dijk question, do Liverpool have enough depth defensively to cope without him?
They have depth, but it's not of the same calibre, of course, is it? I mean, Joe Gomez has really come to the fore this season, hasn't he? So doing Jurgen Klopp a huge favour there if he had to play next to Dejan Lovren. And Dejan Lovren's a competent centre-half whose parts of his game are very, very good. A few high-profile areas here and there, but I think that's overplayed to an extent as well. I mean, their options at left-back and right-back are a bit of a downgrade from Arnold and Robertson. So you've got Moreno and Nathaniel Klein, who we don't know what sort of player he is now after an extensive injury. But much more so than Manchester City, let's say.
Oh, Charles! It's a goal!
It's rolled in. What an awful goal.
Right, the ball is in the back of the net.
Yeah, I think
for Cardiff. What happened in that one?
I think that
Cardiff have scored against Liverpool,
but it looks like offside from the
looks like he's been given offside. It is a free kick. We said they look dangerous from free kicks. It's the initial header that's been flagged offside. They win the header from the free kick. Ball goes across the box. It crawls into the back of the net. So for all the possession Liverpool have had, Cardiff had the ball in the back of the net, but it hasn't been given. So although Liverpool are dominating, that is the worry. We did say earlier. Set pieces, Cardiff looked scary.
They did.
Why did Arsenal suffer due to Cardiff's set pieces at the start of the season? Is that where
Arsenal suffer due to most people's set pieces? Mate, traditionally, they were strong. Also, just Arsenal. I suppose it's kind of what happens when you throw people forward like they do. But Cardiff did get a decent few chances, especially one into the box at the end. So,
it was an entertaining game, that one, wasn't it? But the score still in our feature game is Liverpool 1, Cardiff 0. Interestingly, Liverpool. That's quite hard to say. Interestingly, Liverpool. Try it.
Interestingly, Liverpool.
Well done. Really good. Much better than me. Interestingly, Liverpool are unbeaten in the last 37 Premier League games when leading at half-time since losing that famous match 4-3 at Bournemouth in December 2016. They've not conceded in their previous 9 Premier League home games, and they've never gone 10 league games without conceding at home in their history. Let off for them because the ball was in the back of the net. It didn't count. It is still 1-0. Sandro, Sky Bet, talk to me.
Yes, so Liverpool still massively in control of this game. It's a feature game. Interestingly, when they went 1-0 up, you could have backed the score to stay at 1-0 at 20-1.
Ooh.
It's now just 4-1.
Is it?
So the route that maybe we were all expecting hasn't quite materialised as yet. But if you do fancy goals, 9-4, they win 2-0, 7-2, that they win 3-0, and 8-1 that they win 4-0. And of course, Mo Salah, who scored the first goal, price on him to score a brace is now 5-2. That was 4-6.
Why is that the first one? I'm interested in the first one that you said there, 20-1 to 4-1. Why has that changed so dramatically when there's still 30, 40 minutes left in the game?
So essentially, it's just the price on the game being 0-0 from that point onwards.
Right, OK.
So you have to be that reactive to high-profile chances?
Yeah, absolutely. And essentially, there's huge amounts of numbers and algorithms in the background that continue to whir away and generate these prices as the game goes on. And I suppose the fact that Cardiff have managed to get to half-time without conceding another one is a big, I suppose, psychological
Liverpool
positive
have controlled the game, but in terms of clear-cut chances. They haven't created a massive
No,
amount.
they haven't.
You'd be a brave man to back Cardiff to score in this, wouldn't you?
You would.
Yeah.
I mean, they still haven't had a shot on target. Unfortunately, that one was... Or off target,
Yeah.
for that matter. That was ruled out.
Because that
for
was ruled
offside.
out, of
No
course.
shots.
No shots.
Wow. And interestingly, Liverpool, the only side in English football yet to concede at home in the league this season. So the stats do look good for Liverpool, but it is still 1-0. Hamill, quite a bit going on in your other games. Another chance for Brighton, was that?
No, that is a replay of the Glenn Murray goal. So I think they're just revisiting the Bruno injury. It appears to be OK now. Turning at the back post. He loves sort of just hovering around that 6-yard area, doesn't he, Glenn Murray? Picking up his chances that way. But
poacher.
Yeah, and I mean, he certainly looks old-fashioned, doesn't he? But in the other games, it's pretty much as was. So back to you guys, yeah.
That's always interesting. We're talking about Cardiff and their ability from set pieces. If you are the most positive of Cardiff fans and you think they can nick one, 28-1, Sean Morrison to score a header. 28-1, Callum Patterson to score a header.
Loving this niche.
And
Yeah,
80
and they
to
are
1
good from set pieces. So,
yeah, 80 to 1, Aaron Gunnarsson to score a header.
80 to 1.
Yeah, so you know, if the longer this stays 1-0, you'd expect Cardiff to have a couple of set piece chances later on in the game.
Yeah.
They're not going to create
Cardiff.
chances.
What's happening in
sticking
Liverpool
balls
Cardiff,
like that
Alex?
in.
How much enjoy watching Liverpool Cardiff today?
Do you know what? I am
Social?
really enjoying it. I keep forgetting that we're actually being filmed. So it's a couple of times I've just been chilling out thinking, Sandra, can you be quiet? I'm trying to watch the football. But no, it's... I think Cardiff are still in with a half-decent chance of getting a goal. Liverpool need another one. Need another one.
But if you look at Liverpool's results, they've won quite a few games, 1-0 or 2-1. You look at Man City and they've won. I think read a stat the other day. Man City have won 10 games by 5 or more goals since Pep Guardiola took over, which is incredible. And it goes to show that Man City do tend to roll over. When they score one, it's the classic floodgates are open once they get the first goal. But Liverpool, although they're still in a very strong position, and we quite rightly talked to them about title favourites, they have snuck through some games this season.
Do you think sometimes with City, though, it's sometimes a bit like that fear factor? That I remember teams used to have with, like, United, and they'd go 1-0
old
down.
United.
Old United, and like old Arsenal.
Yeah.
Not like, you know, 2004 Arsenal, we used to score one early on.
Old
then
Tottenham.
Old Tottenham, from whenever that was, from the black and white era, old Tottenham.
1961, mate. Hell of a team, that team. Danny Blanchflower.
I just think that...
You see it with the big, even when the big teams play one another, managers tend to be more reactive against Pep Guardiola than anyone else. I mean, the stalemate at Anfield between Liverpool and Manchester City was probably, you know, the biggest testament to that kind of fear factor that you're talking about. Wherein, I mean, Guardiola has it about Klopp as well. Sort of one of the few managers in world football that tends to get one over him.
Yeah, got a great record, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think teams definitely are more reactive when they're playing Manchester City. It is more sort of back fives, more 3-4-3s, more defensive cover.
Damage limitations.
Yeah, you just... I mean, no one can live with them at the moment, and they've got incredible strength throughout the whole team, haven't they? To bring Gabby Jesus on from the bench is unreal strength in that.
Still be a tough game from Spurs, though.
Do you think, yeah?
Yeah, I think... Well, I think Spurs... Like, as I said, we were talking about Spurs almost as if they were in crisis.
I know.
But they're like,
2
2
points
points
behind
behind.
After about 7 games, hadn't you won them all?
Isn't this your best start?
It's our
to
best
the
ever
season,
start to a Premier League season. 2 points behind Man City, playing them at home. I say at home, at Wembley on Monday.
Aren't you still behind us?
On goal difference, yeah.
Smithy,
There's only 2 points separating the 5.
Taking that little victory there.
Are you now worried about Harry Kane?
Am I worried about Harry Kane? Do you know what?
And will he be the same player post-injury?
Of all the players I'm worried about, I always feel like Harry Kane, I'm not too worried about losing. I've always felt like the Allis and the Ericssons are more likely to go and be attracted by that big move abroad, just because Kane is his whole family is Tottenham, he's a local boy. He doesn't seem to go out as much as the other players, and he seems to like being the main man as well. So I've always had the impression that I'm more worried about the likes of Dele Alli and Ericsson leaving ahead of Kane. I mean, obviously, only time will tell. But I would be devastated if he left. Hamill.
Some beautiful football there from Watford in and around Huddersfield's box. Very smart little flick from Will Hughes, or I think it might have been Dakota again. Tiny players. Someone putting Will Hughes in there straight at the goalkeeper. But some intricate football from Gracia's men. Was it Gray setting up Hughes, I believe, there? One of the few players...
Nice.
Oh, it's Pereira.
Should score, shouldn't he?
Yeah, really. That's a very clear-cut opportunity, isn't it? And Huddersfield riding the luck a little bit. But big flick on. Oh. Is that the Poitras? That's what he's there for, winning headers. He's built like a bouncer, isn't he? Not a footballer. But,
Plays like a bouncer.
Chance
these
for
days,
Huddersfield.
Shot!
Oh, and a decent effort there.
Ben Foster's had a good game, Chris. And they've had a few chances, Huddersfield, haven't they?
They have, haven't they? I mean, what else can you say other than that they seem competent, I mean, on the counter, but by and large surrendered an awful lot of good chances to Watford too, so...
Tom Kearney, just taking the pitch for Fulham.
Just coming on.
Good to see.
Last season's captain.
Yeah.
Well, I think this season's he's taking it on, man.
We made a lot of that chance for Huddersfield then, didn't we, with the groin? It was actually quite a comfortable save.
I think we're more invested now you've revealed yourself as a bit of a Huddersfield fan.
And
I know,
you did say that you're going to give it when Huddersfield...
Yeah, no, I'll give it. I'll give it as much as I feel needs it. No, I'll give it some.
You'll give it some? I'll give it, yeah. Pete Dorman,
the little fist pump.
Social media.
Yeah, just touching back on Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Mark Caldwell has asked, do you think Jordan Pickford and Harry Kane will leave their clubs at the end of the season?
We spoke about Harry Kane, but Jordan Pickford's an interesting one.
Yeah,
why is he...
Why is he so...
I don't know what the correlation between those two players are, but...
Because he feels like he could be at a so-called bigger club, do you think? What do you think, Jordan Pickford? Are you a fan of Jordan Pickford?
I am. I think he had a brilliant World Cup, as did all of them. But if I was him, I don't know why he'd leave Everton. I think, were they going to give him a new deal, or have they given him a new... I don't know whether I'm talking absolute rubbish.
I think he signed a long
term.
Yeah,
but like for someone like him, he's had a good World Cup. Everton seem to be going places, seems to be spending a bit of money.
As well.
Yeah, again, it's like another great club. I mean, is he going to go to... Is he going to go to Chelsea, City, Liverpool, maybe United? Maybe if they got rid of De Gea, but all the while he keeps doing stupid stuff with his feet, like he did for England the other week against Spain.
He's not an elite goalkeeper, is he? And he's already at a very good club. I think he's sort of playing at his level. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one.
I don't understand. Like people look at him through like rose-tinted glasses for some reason when he's actually conceded like an astronomical amount of goals in the past 4 seasons in the Premier League. I think it's over 100.
It's got to be relative to who you're playing behind as well, though, isn't it?
But this is the thing. Yeah. Everton are still an established team in the Premier League. They're still a team that should be pushing for Europa League.
Yeah, he has had to play behind Phil Jagielka and Ashley Williams.
I don't think clean sheets is actually the truest reflection of goalkeepers, because, like you say, if you're playing behind Man City's defence, you're naturally going to keep more clean sheets.
But that was labelled at Joe Hart.
But then again, look at the actual elite keepers like David De Gea. David De Gea faced twice as many shots as Ederson did last season and conceded 2 more goals.
Yeah, I think shots per goal conceded is a great metric. Yeah. I don't think Jordan Pickford fares particularly well there. No. I think there's a little bit of a fallacy which tends to develop around young English goalkeepers, a little bit like Butland, in that they sort of deserve to be above their current station, which is not necessarily
the case. I think that's young English players in general.
And I think that Jordan Pickford's an absolutely fine goalkeeper, and he'll do well at Everton.
Good record penalties.
I mean,
Jordan
Silva
Pickford
can't really has failed to put together a defence during his time in England. I think he had a worse record than Steve Keane's Blackburn at one point, which is not great. Wow. And as you say, Jagielka's still a starting centre-back in 2018, so they probably need to bring... Yerry Mina needs to find fitness, or bring in a centre-half in January, maybe.
I mean, Michael Keane, I think, is decent.
Yeah,
I do like him. I mean, they brought in Zuma on loan. For me, again, that's...
Zuma's been fine.
I mean, he's been average, but he's not going to do anything fantastic. I think going forward, Keane and Mina would be the optimum centre-back pairing for Everton.
Breaking news.
Go on.
Cardiff have had a shot off target.
Oh, I know.
Their first shot
Alex
of the game.
Brooker, you're watching
Warnock
the feature game. You didn't tell us about this.
Yeah, sorry. Again, I had my eyes... I was watching a bit of
Huddersfield. Cardiff, Liverpool, Cardiff is your game. Talk us through.
Yeah,
shots on target.
So Cardiff have had a shot and it's gone off target. I'll concentrate. I'm sorry, I'm letting you down at the moment. I'm sorry. I'm going to watch.
Is that it, Sandro?
Well, no, yeah, I mean, they've had a shot off target. They're still 100-1 to win the game. 16-1. 16-1 the draw is in the game. And if you fancy Cardiff to score, they've been boosted from 8-1 to 12-1 to score the next goal in the game.
Interesting price boost there.
Yeah, so look,
the fans won't be happy with that.
No, everything's up. They're up against it, but it's progress, right? And they've had a shot off target, so who knows? They might even have a shot on target.
It is still only 1-0 as well.
On the subject of not being happy, Smithy, Deulofeu has been hauled off. He's taken about 10 minutes to leave the pitch. He's taken his gloves off in disgust. The goal scorer here being hauled off shortly after half-time. And Gabbiadini looks like he's threatening to come on. So
got him on my team.
I'm sure that Newcastle will be
Yeah, Deulofeu doesn't
Trembling in
look
their
happy.
boots.
Oh, God, doesn't look happy, does he? He's just thrown his gloves to the ground in disappointment, which I always think is quite pointless because...
Yeah,
you know,
because they're wool.
Yeah.
They don't even bounce.
He's had a water, though. He's going to cool off. Anyway, back to our feature game.
Deulofeu now walking very slowly to the dugout, just throwing his gloves to the floor. He looks absolutely fumed,
And
there's nothing more frightening than a Premier League footballer throwing his gloves to the floor in anger, is there?
When it's 10
Huddersfield
degrees.
know they're in a game now.
Quick update in the Championship. We haven't given you any update in the Championship whilst there's no other goals to talk about in the Premier League. Result from earlier, Middlesbrough 1, Derby 1. That finished both own goals in that game, incidentally. Birmingham 1, Sheffield Wednesday 1. Bolton are losing at home 1-0 to Hull City. Bristol City 0, Stoke 1. Millwall 2, Ipswich 0. Norwich 1, Brentford 0. Preston 1, Rotherham 1. Sheffield United...
Oh, what a goal!
4-1 against Wigan. And there's been a goal!
So I was actually watching this. So Sadio Mane, he looked like he'd overran it and stumbled into a couple of Cardiff defenders. But he's managed to kind of jink his way through, and the finish is ridiculous, straight into the side of the net. Have a look at this. So it gets cut back to him from Firmino, and it looks like he's done too much. Here we go. It looks like he's kind of ran into a cul-de-sac, and then he just finds his way through. But look at this for a finish.
Lovely finish.
Well, explain that. It looked like he was holding onto the ball too long.
Yeah,
good use of cul-de-sac as well. Big fan of
thank you very much. I can do it when I put my mind to it.
Interesting enough, you live on a cul-de-sac as well, don't you, Alex? In Huddersfield.
I should do it in Huddersfield. We're still 2-0 down to Watford.
It's a lovely finish. Looked like Mane had done too much.
He has that.
He gets a bit of a lucky
he got a bit lucky with
that finish there.
The winter yellow ball was spinning and he laces it with his left foot into the side netting. Keeper no chance. Big goal for Liverpool, that, Sandro, because we were saying at 1-0, Cardiff did always have that threat on the counter and with the set pieces, but I shudder to think what the odds will be doing now. It's 2-0.
Yeah, that really is game over, as you would expect, Smithy, isn't it? 2-0, if say 2-0 is now 6-4, 3-0 Liverpool is 2-1, 4-0 Liverpool is 11-2, and if you think the floodgates are going to open, 5-0 Liverpool is 20-1. Unsurprisingly, Cardiff to score is still a very big price. So yeah, Liverpool well and truly in control. Now that is it. That is game over.
That is game over.
And it's going to be a case of how many.
64 minutes gone in that game. Some groans coming from Chris Hamill. Chris, did you eat something dodgy, or is there something going on in your games?
No, a few more cul-de-sacs have been run into in the Bournemouth
really well done,
Fulham games. So Bournemouth actually making away, Fulham making their way into the Bournemouth box. But ultimately fizzled out. Came to nothing, which has been the case for Watford on more than a couple of occasions in the second half. Look like they're about, look like the next goal is imminent from the Hornets, but no one latching on to the end of Will Hughes' cross-goal ball. I've got to say, Alex, Huddersfield looking atrocious at the minute. And Gabbiadini has come on for Southampton, who have had 12 shots, only registering 3 on target. So looking for a bit of decisiveness from the Italian, who has not been very decisive in the last 12 months. So
brilliant roundup, Chris. My favourite roundup of yours so far.
I needed that.
So a lot of goals.
The use of cul-de-sac is just provided you with inspiration.
Yeah. That's what we'll take from this week.
Yeah, cul-de-sac.
The analogy of cul-de-sac.
So going back to those last 2 games in the Championship, Sheffield United 4-1 up against Wigan, Swansea 1-0 up at home to Reading, and West Brom beating Blackburn 1-0 at the minute. So goals galore in the Championship. Quick roundup of the Premier League games. It's Brighton 1, Wolves 0, Fulham 0, Bournemouth 1, Liverpool 2-0 up against Cardiff now following that Sadio Mane goal. Watford 2, Huddersfield 0, Pereira and Deulofeu. And it is still Southampton 0, Newcastle 0. We've only heard, Chris, that Gabbiadini's come on. That's literally all we've got from that game, isn't it? I mean, nothing's happened.
Yeah, other than
the fact that that's of note.
Southampton are comfortably on top at the moment. Like I said, 13 shots to Newcastle's 3. Newcastle just sitting deep, which, I mean, a lot of the time is Rafa Benitez's go-to ploy with this Newcastle side, such as their lack of attacking threat. Mike Ashley understands, looking absolutely placid, and Benitez not so much, fuming. I mean, to finish 10th last season with this crop of players, brilliant. And to have not added during the summer, absolute suicide from a sporting point of view.
On a separate note, the team accumulator. We're not in the best of positions currently.
For crying out loud, Sandro!
We can now cash out for a 5p loss. Please raise your voice at Smithy, not me, because my selection's still currently drawing.
He's past the book expert.
Smithy, let the team down.
I did my bit for Liverpool Cardiff. So I said it was a sure thing.
To come up with that prediction.
Do you know what?
62 hours, apparently. Yeah, look, not great. We currently cash out for 95 pence, so 5p loss.
So
I did predict 2-0 though in this game in
you?
Liverpool Cardiff. Yeah.
You did, OK. It's currently still 2-0. With 20 minutes to go, though, Liverpool very much on top.
Yeah, they are big time now.
If we're going to get this back, we need Wolves to win. They're currently 10-1 to turn around this one-goal deficit.
Only 1-0 down, though.
Yeah, and we all know they've got plenty of goals in them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Brighton 4-11 to win the game. Currently, the draw is 5-2, and Wolves 10-1 to turn it around.
The draw might be worth it, no?
On the subject of betting, the price boost on your screen now. Manny to score a brace, 13-2 with Sky Bet. Interesting price bet there. A substitution in the Liverpool game, Alex.
Yeah, Milner's coming on. I don't know who... They've not said who's coming off yet.
James Milner.
Firmino looking at the sideline ominously there.
Yeah.
So it's Milner for Firmino.
No, that's fizzled down to nothing. That was a proper Gary Neville.
Yeah, you do. I think Milner, certainly, like the opening games of the season was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
For Liverpool, wasn't he?
Yeah, scored
Such a good player, Milner.
Scored in 48 different Premier League games. So he scored 48 Premier League goals in his history, and he's never been on the losing side when he's scored, ever.
Great player.
Salomon Rondon.
They got him on a free, didn't they?
Yeah.
Did they get him on a free when they bought him?
Is that Jimbo?
Yeah.
Here he is, and he's putting the
he was
captain's
free, wasn't
armband
he, from
on.
City.
I'd have loved to have
He's
seen us have him.
he gets better every year. Like his tackle interception numbers are absolutely unreal last year, and he can just slot into a number of different roles, can't he? The fact he was keeping 40, 50 million pound Fabinho out at the start of this season and convincing as well, and no one was complaining about it, is just a testament to how good he's been. But can play left back as well. Yeah. Anyway, Jimbo.
Yeah, he's a very, very versatile player.
Salomon Rondon's come on. He's not very versatile, is he? I think he's only got 7 goals. I think he only registered 7 goals, for West Brom in the Premier League. So if he adds one today, that'll be a collector's item. But, yeah, Bournemouth, Fulham still looking pretty active. And that's it.
Nothing else of note in any...
And
Good tackle.
is that Mooney?
Oh, it's a goal!
Mooney on the deck.
Bournemouth goal!
For Bournemouth. I was watching a Brighton
Bournemouth.
substitution being made. And is it young David Brooks?
Chris, we both spoke about him. Both said that we rated him, thought he's had a good season before this show, and he scored again. He's had a great start to the season, hasn't he?
Yeah, really good numbers. This must be his 4th, 5th. He got
I really
brace,
like
obviously,
him.
the other week. 3 in 4 Premier League games for the young Welshman. And that sort of... I mean, Fraser Forster was getting a lot of the praise at the start of the season, wasn't he?
Yeah.
The impish winger there. I think he may have even played him in. An average-sized player, hard to spot on the screen. Fraser Forster even more so.
Good tackle,
Fraser
one
Forster,
there.
that's the goalkeeper. Ryan Fraser even.
Yeah, that's Ryan
good
Fraser.
run though. Stretching that Fulham back line. It was Ryan Fraser with the pass.
Yeah.
And Bournemouth have been really good going forward this season, haven't they? And they're sort of bludgeoning teams with their attack as opposed to being defensively sound, but a good finish.
You can always tell it's Ryan Fraser because he has massive shorts on. He has really big shorts on, and that was him with the assist. Brooks with the goal. David Brooks scored 2 in his last 3 Premier League appearances. That is his 3rd goal.
3 in
And
his last
Jukanovic
4,
does
Smith,
not
in
look
fact.
happy, does he?
Interestingly, pressure's
not
really
look
on him
happy.
now. He was second favourite at 5-1 to be the next Premier League manager to lose
Was
his
he?
job before today's game.
Interesting.
Jose was the favourite, 2-1 favourite, and Jukanovic second favourite. And look, he's a nice man.
Oh, God, sorry, Sandra. That could be red card territory. He's got away with it. It's an orange one. Second yellow. Second yellow for McDonald, who is probably not a Premier League quality. He's barely started this campaign. Bringing David Brooks, the scourge of the cottage at the moment, Smithy.
Well, we're saying Jukanovic didn't look happy there. He looks absolutely fuming, doesn't he? What a terrible 2 minutes goal and now red card. Was it a fair decision? Red card for you, Chris?
Well, the second yellow, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, second yellow.
that's
Cynical,
rash,
innit?
and
Just
he
cynical.
caught him pretty convincingly.
Considering he's on a yellow, it's a rash challenge, isn't it?
That's poor. And these are the sort of games where Jukanovic will have down on his calendar. We need to get something from Bournemouth at home, and it's pretty ominous, isn't it? losing to them so convincingly this part of the season.
Yeah, and they've got a free kick. Charlie Daniels and Adam Smith, I believe, both standing over it.
Adam Smith's got an absolute rocket on it.
He has, yeah.
Adam Smith. Not the only Adam Smith who's got a rocket on it.
Very good,
Smithy,
very
of course,
good, yeah.
bagging 2 in the old FD derby.
Thank you, mate.
Good
I
man.
did enjoy that game. I did enjoy it. But going back to Fulham, the stats, 18th in the league before today, lost their last 3 Premier League games without winning 6 Premier League matches. Worst defence in the Premier League. Only side yet to keep a clean sheet in the Premier League this season. They're 2-0 down. And they're down to 10 men. They're serious relegation contenders now, Fulham,
Well,
aren't they?
completely. And I think they're on course currently to break a Premier League record for the most amount of goals conceded in a season.
Yeah.
As well. It's looking
Conceded 10
pretty
goals
ugly.
at home. Only Cardiff have conceded more at home so far. Another 2 to that today.
Yeah, yeah. It's not looking good, is it? And like I said, Jokanovic, he was second favourite to be the first Premier League manager to lose his job. I'd imagine after today's game, he will go into favouritism.
Yeah.
I think so. I'd imagine, off the top of my head, he'd probably be around sort of even money. Something like that to be the next Premier League manager to lose his job. And it'd be a case of whether Tony Khan can hold his nerve or whether he decides he needs to let Jokanovic go and bring in somebody else. We shall see.
Let's go back to the feature game. Alex, how are Liverpool playing? Is it
Yeah,
all Liverpool?
It's all Liverpool. It's just, I think it's a case of if they score another one. There's no way Cardiff are getting back into this. So they've just got a corner at the moment. Milner crossed in for Mane, and they managed to get it away. But yeah, I mean, it's all Liverpool at the moment.
Yeah, Liverpool.
Watford playing some really tidy stuff
to
here.
extend that league.
I've been a big fan of Watford at the start of this campaign. Obviously, had a rocky couple of weeks, 3 or 4 weeks ago, didn't they? But tidy football from this right-hand side, particularly from Kiko Famigna to Decore to, I think, Decore and Capu, sorry, are putting up obscene numbers at the moment.
Yeah.
And they're just such a hard team to break down in central areas. And Huddersfield really... Oh, hello. We're going over to the Brighton game. Can they wrap this up? It's fizzled out a little bit well back there. I think that's the captain, Cody. And it's 3-on-4 in the area, but that fizzles out. And that attack
was
breaks
linked
down.
with bigger clubs, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
In the summer.
Capu's actually probably been a little bit better than him, marginally better than Decore this season. But Decore does have really sort of
Had a good
high-class
season last
moments.
season.
Chance for Wolves. Oh! Is that
Doherty?
Matt Doherty again. Chance for... Chris, I want to ask you about that before that. The chance for Wolves. We were so impressed with Wolves and the way that they were playing, particularly at the start of the season. They lost to Watford last week. They're losing to Brighton. Have they played badly, or Brighton just had a brilliant game plan?
Oh,
no!
Go! Cardiff has scored.
Oh.
Cardiff has
It's a
scored.
goal! It's a
wow.
goal! It's a minute! Alex, the last time
I chat absolute whiff
Careful.
when it comes
Okay,
to
good.
football.
The last time we spoke to Alex Brooker, he
I-
said there is no way Cardiff will get back into this.
Yeah,
It's a
don't
sure
worry,
thing.
mate,
Cardiff have scored.
I know my acceptable substitutes for naughty words on live television. Yeah, whiff. So, yeah, that's a great goal. I mean, the cross takes a deflection.
Whipped into the
It
box.
takes a deflection off Van Dijk into the path of Patterson, who just pokes it.
So cross, wicked deflection
the
from Van
legs.
Dijk into the path of Patterson. And
Between the legs of
Alisson
Alisson.
can't really do much about that. But it's 2-1. And all these stats we're saying, you said it's game over, you said they won't score.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Wrong and wrong, because it's 2-1. And what can we get for Cardiff to win? Come on.
The draws,
That's a requested bet.
the draws 10 to 1. Liverpool still 100 to 1 on to win the game. So
Interesting.
It's a big ask. It's a big ask for it to remain as it is 2-1. Liverpool is now 4 to 5. Liverpool to get a third and win 3-1 is a 2 to 1 chance. But if you fancy the draw, 2-2, 12 to 1.
I had 3-1 before the game, just putting it out there. That's what I had. Yeah.
You did, yeah.
Interesting. Just to go back to your question
Go on.
before Cardiff rudely interrupted us. Wolves have produced double the amount of chances that Brighton have, but still only put 2 on target. Brighton, like they do a lot of the time, real deep block, and it's been plenty of efforts from distance. Matt Ryan keeping out a good shot there from, I think it might have been Matinho on the edge of the box. They've got a free kick now, so let's see how this goes. 'Cause
Ruben
it is
Neves,
from a
you expect to take this?
decent position, and Ruben Neves is standing over it. And we know he can produce moments of magic. Billing coming off in the Huddersfield game as well.
Incidentally, all of Ruben Neves' goals for Wolves have been from outside the box.
Yeah,
and
7
they've all been bangers.
7
Absolute
goals from outside the
specialist.
box since the start of last season. And did you know that is more than any other player in English football? Yeah. So if anyone can produce a goal from outside the box,
Coutinho's
it's Ruben
gone now,
Neves,
hasn't he?
who's got a free kick from
That
outside
was
the
always
box
his.
now. Chris, is this going in the back of the net?
Why not, Smithy?
nearly did as
deflection
well.
over the top. That could have brought Araka back into play. And did that come off a Wolves player?
It definitely took a deflection. Let's have a look at the
In the
replay.
wall? No, it didn't.
No.
Oh, yeah, it did.
A vital touch there from...
It's a good free kick.
I'm not quite sure what position Dunk has taken up there. That is a vital touch. No, I don't think it was Dunk.
If you fancy Neves to score from outside the area in the rest of the game, 33-1.
Is it?
And 50-1 that he scores a free kick.
I'd put 50p on that
50 to
every
1.
single week.
50-1.
We've
for Ruben
got
Neves.
left
nose
10
on it.
minutes, something like that.
Wow. I believe it's in the 77th minute. I just saw in the corner of my eye. Ruben Neves' score is 50-1.
To score a free kick,
score a free
50-1.
kick.
To score from outside the area, 33.
Oh, we've got a goal in the Watford game, and what a Isaac success bagging. What a...
Come on, there must be a gag with that.
I'm going to resist. What a weird free kick routine that was. It looked like they were being conservative. They pinged it backwards, 10 yards from the position in which they won the free kick, and then it went a bit of a Hail Mary there to the back post, and it's come across for Isaac's success, and he can't fail in that position.
Oh, there it is, Chris.
Look
Just
at
me,
this.
yeah?
Smithy loves a pun. Right. Is he in an offside position?
No,
oh,
he's
no.
not.
Is that Kiko Firmino on the overlap? Either way, that is...
That's a nice routine.
That...
Game is out of interest, Chris.
Isaac's success.
I just wonder what his success rate was like.
There we go.
There we go.
Dan Gosling coming on for
Sorry about
Bournemouth. So, you know, just to rein it back to football away from your
And also,
silly
we haven't
puns.
got Alex Brooker's reaction to Huddersfield.
Conceding
It's
again.
been a bad day for Huddersfield.
Yeah, it's
And you
been a
live in
terrible
Huddersfield.
day. Yeah, it's been a terrible day. It'll be
How will the people of
a
Huddersfield
long
be-
trip back on the M1 and then the
Yeah.
M62 for some days.
And then after the M62?
little bit of motorway knowledge for you.
Where do you go after the M62?
The Ace. It depends what junction you're coming off at. You know, some people come off at junction 24. I personally come off at 25.
If we go any
this,
further,
this
we'll get
isn't
to
what you
exact
got me
house,
on the show
haven't we?
for. Oh, hang on.
Salah,
Salah tried. Shit,
So-
rubbish. Yeah, it's a terrible result for them. Like, you know, the defending for the first two goals. I know Pereira and Deulofeu.
Yeah.
They were good runs, but I mean, on both of them, the defending has got to be better. Let alone the fact that Huddersfield at the moment are struggling for goals. If they're conceding goals like that at the other end, they've got absolutely no hope. Might as well just all go home now.
Can you imagine that? If they
Little ray of sunshine, aren't you?
Imagine if they all
I don't want to be pessimistic.
I personally read it.
Yeah. So, yeah,
Just look at the scenes of Jurgen Klopp. Looks a little bit concerned, doesn't he? Not...
So
I
did
think we
Neil
all-
Warnock, but sometimes I just think that's Warnock's like default face.
Yeah. The only man
It's his resting face.
whose waistband is just below his nipples in world football. Neil Warnock. Unbelievably high.
great
trousers
Saying that,
there,
Brighton... Ooh. Yeah, interesting. Liverpool been all over them, but Brighton's still in that game.
And
Any other
making a
chances?
positive
Here
substitution.
we go, long throw-in time from Cardiff.
Yeah.
Back to the long throw-in. We love a long throw-in. Go on.
Yeah, 82 minutes played at Anfield, 2-1 Liverpool. Cardiff with a long throw.
Bad
That
news
is-
here for Huddersfield, Alex. Gray is coming on. Has Isaac's success coming off?
Yeah.
Wow, what an impact. Yeah, Gray coming on, so not who you want to face up for the last 10 minutes of the game, is it? Very pacey. Nothing of note in the Newcastle game, Smithy. Other than
Something's gotta happen in that
Southampton remain on top. Well, I think Sandro called the draw and very much looking nailed on at current. And Wolves continue to probe, but not very well, working it into decent wide positions. Of course, their fullbacks play pretty high, don't they? But I don't know, that might be a game where we see a last-minute goal, Wolves. There's only so many clearances that Dunk and co can keep producing. Hopefully without something happening.
That's
Huddersfield
brilliant from Salah.
on the attack. And
Shaqiri,
just throw it in the box, Huddersfield. Yeah, and it's
Didn't make it.
Alex, chance in the Liverpool
Well,
net, what
no,
happened?
Salah did well to win the ball back on the counter-attack, and they got it into Shaqiri, and Mane was overlapping, and it was just a case of trying to find the pass, but he got fouled, but... I mean, he should have released the ball a lot earlier, in my opinion, as an ex-pro.
It's a valid opinion.
Yeah, I know, yeah. I'm sure Shaqiri will want that advice
take it on board.
from someone who actually doesn't have a right foot, so... but that's no problem. at all, anytime, Jordan.
It's nearly wondering, what do I say next? How do I transition out of
so many awkward situations here.
Sorry,
I don't know what to say.
I'm sorry.
Oh, chance for Liverpool. Shaqiri! Alex Brooker, talk us through that.
Yeah,
goal without making you feel awkward in any way,
no,
please.
I promise you I will not make you feel awkward with any more blue badge banter. So Shaqiri is he's got the ball and he's cut it onto his left foot. And just see the replay then. But it's a good finish.
Here is
he
the
definitely
replay.
should have released the ball earlier before that. I stand by that. He gets the ball in.
So there's Mo Salah on the ball, out
from
wide.
Salah. And he's just...
lovely turn of
Lovely
feet.
pace on a pass from Salah as well.
Yeah.
Like
Mo
that,
Salah
just
gets the
enables him
assist.
to go. Bang.
Drops,
Drops the shoulder.
Great finish.
Defender goes one way, he goes the other.
And I know I said before that this is... I mean, it was only going to be Liverpool. Surely now. It's out, like...
Come on, Wolves.
I said 3-1. Can I just say that? So does this mean I'm winning the accumulator currently? Was I the only one?
Did you, no, you didn't say Salah first goal
Yeah, I
scorer.
didn't. Did
You
someone else-
fraud.
No,
You
but
said
who else said
Mane.
3-1? Because it only goes to goal scorer if...
Yeah, I thought it was correct score first.
It was correct
then
score
goal
first,
scorer,
then
then
goal
minute of
scorer.
goal.
Fair play.
But someone else said 3-1, I think.
No, I had 3-0.
I was going to go for it, and then I didn't think we were allowed to
And then
say
you got
the
a
score.
text
You
from
actually
him.
you messaged me and said 3-1 yesterday,
Yeah.
didn't you?
Did you?
And then changed your mind.
Oh, Bournemouth are in.
I unblocked
Chance for
him.
Bournemouth!
Oh,
Callum Wilson!
Gets
What a
his
goal.
second of the day. It's not a spot kick, sorry. Bournemouth have scored from open play again, and that looked fairly easy. They've not really had to try awfully hard to cut through the Fulham defence there. Square ball. Who's it come from? We'll see now. We're just going to revisit the goal.
It's getting ugly for Fulham, this,
Yeah,
isn't it?
Wilson
It really
just lurking on the last man. No pressure in midfield from Fulham. Played it onto his stronger right foot. Is that Ryan Fraser again? It could very well
Look at
be.
the shorts, it'll tell you.
Yeah, can we see any knee? Because if not, it's Ryan Fraser.
Good finish.
That's a very convincing finish from Callum Wilson. And Eddie Howe be lapping up these numbers from his forwards. They continue to produce. Doesn't matter that you've got an ageing back line or, you know, quite a rickety defence. And
Another goal to report.
for Liverpool.
Oh,
It's
he's not
Mane.
coming at once. So,
I mean, they're now absolutely running riot. It's a ball clipped through to Mane, and he's just dinked it over the keeper. He was never going to miss from there.
so it's now 4-1 Liverpool. Suddenly they are looking like
Again,
this is going to
another
be
assist for
floodgates
Salah.
open. It's another assist from Mo Salah. Lovely,
Lovely weighted
pass.
ball.
Great finish.
That's a great pass as well.
dream week if you've got Salah as your captain. That's a goal and 2 assists, isn't it? So
I have got Salah as my captain.
you have?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. It didn't matter that you took Trent
Yeah,
out.
nah. Don't care about Alexander-Arnold anymore. Didn't even get the clean sheet, so good. didn't want him to, in a way. So, yeah. Great finish from Mane.
If you fancy
See, this
Liverpool
is
to get another one, 7-2, that they win this 5-1. If you want it to stay at 4-1, that's now 4-1 on. So you're not going to get rich back in that. But yeah, if you fancy him to nick a fifth,
What happens now,
7-2.
Sandro? You're the arbitrator of this betting
Yeah.
scenario.
Yeah,
So I've called 4 goals, but he's called Cardiff getting a goal.
Yeah. How does
So
it work?
who wins?
Do you know what? Football wins.
Hey!
Really good. No, but seriously, who wins? Pete, we haven't gone to you in a while. Social corner. Just remind the viewers how they can get in touch for the last 10 minutes and what they've been saying.
You can get at me on Twitter with the hashtag #TheFootballSocial to @FootballDaily or @SoccerAM. And surprisingly, 87 minutes into this, we haven't barely mentioned Manchester United.
No.
And there has been a question from Danny Zuko1, apparently a big fan of the Greece franchise. What are your thoughts on the Martial-Manchester United contract saga?
Ooh.
Does
As a
anyone
Spurs
have a
fan-
strong stance on this?
I mean, as a Spurs fan, he was another player. Sorry, when I said Zaha, Martial was someone that... I'm a big fan of Anthony Martial, and we would link them. I actually thought they would get Alderweireld and we'd get Martial, because both seemed unhappy with the contract situation, and we needed a player, they needed a player in that position. I don't...
Yeah, that would have made sense.
It would have made sense. In terms of this exact contract, he's asking about what's happening now,
Well,
this week.
Martial has rejected every contract United have offered him so far.
I think Martial wants and needs more game time. He wasn't in the French squad, was he? Famously left out of the French World Cup squad. Maybe that's playing on his mind a bit. He doesn't get enough game time. For me, he's got to be starting. Got to be starting.
I'd love to know his thoughts on Jose as well.
Would you?
Yeah, I'd love to know his thoughts on being
Did you
managed.
see Thibaut Courtois' thoughts on Jose when he was rumoured to be going back to Real Madrid?
And Conte.
Courtois said when he heard the
Oh, there goes
let's
my
pick
phone.
that up because it's leaking. That when Conte and Mourinho were linked as the number 1 and 2 to replace Lopetegui, that he said he couldn't believe it. He'd already left London to escape them pair, that scenario, and he's not happy, let's say. But he's become quite outspoken since the World Cup, hasn't he, old Thibaut?
Yeah, interestingly, he's now saying he denied those reports because it was quotes from, so unsure whether they were direct quotes or not.
Oh, the old classic.
The old classic.
Misquoted.
One it's misquoted, yeah. So it's interesting to see.
But he is opinionated, Thibaut.
He is.
Which I don't mind in the slightst. I think it's good value.
With Martial, it was in the summer. United didn't want to sell him to another team in England. I assume that would still be the case.
Yeah, I mean, especially a team like Spurs, who are, like, you know, now it's kind of how do you get 6 into 4, isn't it, for the Champions League? And when he's played, he's been really decisive. Last season and the start of this season, his numbers were unreal for goals and assists per game. And he's
a really good player.
I mean, you need him. If you're Jose Mourinho, you absolutely need him firing with Romelu Lukaku, scoring 2 in his last 12 starts.
I think it's a bit of a strange situation because the certain news articles around this, they were saying that Martial is going to try and outstay Jose Mourinho. He sees Mourinho maybe staying for another half season at best, and then he's there long term. But then now he's turning down the contract, so I think it all revolves around what he's paid. I think he once paid like the astronomical fees that like Alexis Sanchez and Pogba are getting paid, whereas does he deserve it at this minute? I mean, Sanchez definitely doesn't deserve it.
Can you imagine that? Did you ever think when Mourinho went to United that we'd be talking about players who could potentially be thinking, we'll see if we'll outstay him?
Yeah, I know.
See if we can last until he goes.
As a player, I would hate to play under Mourinho.
But you know Mourinho's track record...
Salah's had a shot from the halfway line, it's gone wide.
Way wide.
Mourinho's track record tells you he's not going to be there probably longer than 3 years. So you can understand this kind of game of poker almost between some of the big names at Old Trafford and Jose, can't you?
Oh, but Watford on the attack here. This looks like it might be it. Oh, poor cutback there from the Watford striker.
Yeah, I mean,
chance for Wolves.
Come on, Wolves. Do it for the Acca. It's looking increasingly less likely that Wolves probably deserve something out of this game. I've got to say, Brighton have been non-existent as an attacking force in this second half. And Watford... I almost Huddersfield almost getting in about 2 minutes ago, Alex. You'd be glad to know, almost.
It's just too little, too late now.
Yeah, Newcastle Southampton proving to be one of the most boring games of the last decade. So,
right, we are into injury time in all of our games. Have a quick roundup.
Oh my God! Almost cursed the commentator.
What happened?
Shane Long, 264. He could have silenced his critics. Bertrand looking on at him there, absolutely.
I have no further questions for you about Shane Long after that.
No further questions. Well, as I was saying, we are into injury time in all of our Premier League games. It is Brighton 1, Wolves 0. Glenn Murray after 48 minutes. His 100th goal for Brighton. Fulham 3-0 down at home at Craven Cottage to Bournemouth. Callum Wilson with 2-1 from the penalty spot and David Brooks. Fulham also down to 10 men. Dreadful start for them for life in the Premier League. Liverpool comfortable 4-1 winners at the minute at Anfield against Cardiff. Mo Salah with 1. Sadio Mane with 2. Shaqiri with 1. Callum Patterson did score after 77 minutes, but it's 4-1 Liverpool with 1 minute remaining in that game. Southampton 0, Newcastle 0. The only game without a goal. Badly needed a goal in that one. And it is Watford 3, Huddersfield 0. Pereira, Delafeu and Isaac Success on 80 minutes at Vicarage Road. Leicester play West Ham this evening. So we just need a goal, Chris, in the Southampton game.
Interestingly, the 0-0, you could have backed it at 15-2 before play started.
To be fair, you called that, didn't you?
I did, and of course...
You didn't call it in the green room, Sandro. I could have put a tenner on that, mate.
Well, as you can imagine, I didn't have a penny on it, mate.
Well,
so as is always the case. So I've got a whole host of hard luck stories. Isn't that right, Alex?
Go on, give us one.
I can't believe that Shane Long has not done better with that chance. I'm actually starting to feel sorry for Mark Hughes, who I do not think
Watford again
signed up to a 3-year contract in the Southampton job. But Sema, not heard much about this player for Watford, but Andre Gray, as we sort of said, doing bits at the end of this game, not someone you want to be chasing for the last 10.
I mean, it must be pretty disheartening for Mark Hughes to look at his forward options and Danny Ings be the best one.
Danny, well, I mean, put a bit of respect on Danny Ings, good player.
To be fair, he's been unlucky with injury, Danny Ings, as well.
That was perhaps a bit harsh on Ings, but like the rest of them.
Right, the full-time whistle has gone at Anfield.
4-1.
Our first Saturday 3 o'clock game is finished. These are the scenes. Jurgen Klopp, another 4-1 win. Well, another win, shall I say. This time was 4-1. Very comfortable in the end. Salah, Mane with 2 and Shaqiri, lovely finish. Patterson scored. Callum Patterson scored for Cardiff. But they
Last
win
chance
4-1.
saloon here, Smithy, for Southampton. They've got a free kick about 30 yards out from a wide position.
Yeah.
They've committed 6 or 7 men in the area. We've got to go for it now, so let's see how this long lump goes.
Good ball.
Oh, decent ball.
Good
Everyone's missed it. Stevens, who, you know, we've got niche trivia on, not bringing home the points to Mark.
Full-time whistle at Vicarage Road. These are the scenes. Watford 3, Huddersfield 0. Pereira Delafeu, who scored a great goal, but then was very happy with his assist. With his substitution, should I say, and Isaac's success.
Never.
They're
chance for Wolves. Hamill, what's going on?
Absolutely peppering Matt Ryan's goal, and he's probably been Brighton's man of the match, I've got to say. Fairly straightforward saves, straight
Wolves
out.
still on the attack.
But he would have seen it late. It came through a sea of bodies, and Helder Costa is played well-ish in this second half from that wide position on the left. But yeah, Wolves have done everything but score. And Nuno Espirito Santos will be able to take a little bit of heart from this good showing.
Oh, what's
It's a corner to Wolves.
Last week they were utter turd. This week, unlucky.
A margin improvement.
28-1, you could back the draw out in this game if you fancy Wolves to nick something from that.
28-1.
That's probably going to be their last chance, isn't it?
There is a corner to Wolves at Brighton. 28-1. We've just heard from Sandro. Hammer, we're going to stay with you for this corner.
Oh, good defensive header there at the back post, and Southampton are whipping another ball in. It's been flicked onto the back post. No one there, but they've won a corner. So we have another corner in the dying embers of the game.
Another counter-attack.
Goodness,
He's got to put him in.
Brighton on the counter-attack.
Put him in.
Play him in. Play him in.
Wolves on the counter.
Wolves on the counter. It's a counter of a counter. What do we call that in football? I don't know, but Wolves have got a chance. We're in the 93rd minute. Brighton against Wolves. 1-0 down Wolves.
A decent
Ball's
corner.
whipped in.
Not really beating the first man.
Is that surely?
Is this a counter of the counter of the counter?
Yeah, that's it. All over.
That's like the football version of Inception.
Southampton.
The full-time whistle has gone.
My goodness.
Brighton
That is a
1,
huge
Wolves
3
0.
points for
Glenn
Brighton.
Murray, who else? The top-scoring Englishman in the Premier League this season. After 48 minutes with the only goal of the game, Wolves piling on the pressure at the end, but all 3 points belong to Brighton. Massive win. There is the man of the moment, the man of the season. Brighton fans love him.
7 Brighton players there gathered around Matt Ryan. I think that's indicative of what sort of game it's been. He's been immense in goal, and Brighton, what a big 3 points that is for them. That's 6 in the last 2 weeks that they've absolutely stolen.
And it's all over at Fulham. Craven Cottage. Dreadful day for Fulham. Fulham 0, Bournemouth 3. Callum Wilson with 2, 1 from the spot. David Brooks with the other. He's had a great start to life. Jukanovic, very animated. It is a lot of problems at Fulham. And Sandra, you think that he could be one of the first managers to go?
I'd imagine he will be favourite. When the lads price this up, which will probably be about half an hour's time, I'd fully expect him to be favourite to lose his job ahead of Mourinho now. I'd imagine he'd be around maybe the 5-4, 11-10 mark. Interestingly, that Wolves game, they had 58% possession, 13 attempts at goal, either on or off target, and 10 corners.
Wow.
Brighton had 1 corner and 5 shots, and they've come out 1-0.
The Alamo.
winners.
So all of our games...
Only game remaining is Southampton-Newcastle, Smith, and Southampton's still forcing the agenda here. They've been much the better side. This will be a solid point for Benitez's Newcastle, only their 3rd point of the season. But they're struggling to hold on to it here. Dubravnik's come for it. And Shelvey is cleared, quite composed there. And it's just Salomon Rondon running down in the left. Low socks, it's got to be the Venezuelan. Much the same way that, you know...
Good ball. Chance. Is this a corner?
Whipped into the box there at the front post. No, it's Rondon getting back onto it. And well defended there from Wesley Hurt.
Wesley Hurt.
So your favourite names in football, is that, Smithy? That was like a knee-jerk reaction from you there.
All over it.
That's a Dutch accent. Flemish
Is
there
it still going, or is it...
It's done.
It looks like it's done.
Full-time whistle has gone. Southampton 0, Newcastle 0. Both teams badly needing to win that one.
Sandro, that, mate.
Neither winning.
I'd like to apologise to you for saying it was going to be 4 goals. Yeah. I apologise, Sandra. I'll take it back. I was out of order.
Echoing Chris Hamill's point there, the body language of the Southampton players says it all. There's Ryan Bertrand there, and they look devastated with the point, Chris. Going back to what you were saying, the better team perhaps should have got the win.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd like to see the average time spent in the opposition's third in this game, because for the last 20 minutes it was just a series of crosses. But that goes back to a point I was making earlier, in that Southampton are struggling
That's your mate,
creatively. Danny Ings creating chances for himself, pretty much. If Ryan Bertrand's not at it, who's their main creative force, then no one is. They let Buffal go in the summer.
Yeah.
They let Tadic go.
Tadic, yeah.
Tadic playing really well now for Ajax in the Champions League against, opposition of the pedigree of Bayern Munich. And they let him go for what, like sub 15 mil? Some odd business dealings at Southampton. And I think they've lost that. They've lost their identity a bit. They've lost that attacking flair that they had under Koeman, under Poch, and they're just getting progressively worse. I say this every week. I'm bored of the sound of my own voice when it comes to Southampton, but they're just a boring side. But fortunately for them, there's 3 sides that are worse than them in the Premier League.
Yeah, I agree. I think they'll start. They also lost a lot of players to Liverpool over the years, who are top of the table following their win against Cardiff in our feature game. We can have a look at our accumulator. Sandro, trying to talk us through where this went wrong.
Yeah, maybe you'd like to talk us through it, Smithy. I don't know.
Yeah, it was me, wasn't it?
Yeah, let's start from the top. Unfortunately, it was just the one result that let us down. It's never easy predicting an away victory.
No, don't sugarcoat it, Smithy. You've let the side down big time.
It was only me, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Chris called the away win correct. Alex Brooker, home win correct. Sandro brilliantly calling a draw. Southampton against Newcastle. Dorman, home win. So it was only me that let you guys down, and I said away win. It wasn't even a draw, it was a home win. I need to have a long, hard look at myself in the mirror tonight, which I do sometimes. Anyway, moving on. So this is the Premier League table. Liverpool, what a fantastic start. It's been still unbeaten in the Premier League, as are Man City, who play on Monday night against Spurs at Wembley. Liverpool atop, 26 points, 16 goals. 16-goal difference after 10 games. Obviously, Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs yet to play. Man United at the foot of the top half of the table in 10th. Bottom of the table, Huddersfield and Newcastle remain the only 2 teams yet to win in the Premier League. 3 points from 10 games. Huddersfield's goal difference and Fulham,
shocking.
-17. Alex Brooker, your second team.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just not looking good for them at all, is it? I mean, there'd have to be a huge turnaround for them now, because last season they trailed off towards the end of the season, Huddersfield, but at least they had a decent start. And
yeah,
I'm completely against having a second team in the same league, by the way, Alex. I mean, you're a lovely bloke, but
say,
2 Premier League
well,
teams,
hang on a minute.
That's absolutely shocking.
I say second team, I want them to do all right because it's quite good in the town. I'm not buying shirts and stuff.
I
like
imagine
that.
they do a good half-time pie. Good food up there. Good pie.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
Yeah.
Right, this is what is on Sky Sports this
fat?
weekend. Moving on from the pies. This is what's on Sky Sports this weekend. Leeds against Nottingham Forest tonight. Very shortly, in fact, 5:15. That is on Sky Sports Football. Goals on Sunday tomorrow. That is 11 o'clock, Sky Sports Premier League. Following that is Crystal Palace against Arsenal. Big game for Alex Brooker's team at Selhurst Park. Arsenal looking to win 12 games in a row. Super Sunday, 12:30pm, Sky Sports Premier League. Followed by Man United against Everton, 3:30, Sky Sports Premier League. And the big one on Monday Night Football, Tottenham versus Manchester City. 2 of the greatest teams in world football do battle at Wembley Stadium, 7 o'clock, Monday Night Football, Sky Sports Premier League. Alex Brooker, let's talk Arsenal. You're a big Arsenal fan. How do you see tomorrow's game going?
I think I am confident. I think that tomorrow, hopefully, we'll see them actually perform in the first half as well, because at the moment Arsenal kind of becoming this second half kind of side. So I'd like to see them tomorrow just come out full of confidence. Again, he made changes in the week. So, people like Lacazette didn't play and Bellerin had a rest as well. So I'd like to,
What do you think it is about that first 45 or before you go down?
I don't know. Honestly, I couldn't tell you, especially on Monday night. I thought they'd come out raring to go. And they just didn't. And also, though, in fairness, Leicester did play very well in the first half. But I'd like to see them come out. They should be full of confidence at the moment. And then a win tomorrow, make it 12 in a row. And then you get all the previews for the Liverpool game. Unlucky 13. That'll be what it'll be. So yeah. But I'd like to see us obviously continue that run. I think we will. I think we'll win.
Yeah, I think you will as well.
Yeah.
Palace been a bit unfortunate at the moment, but won't be able to live with that Arsenal attack, I don't imagine.
Yeah, they weren't amazing. I mean, they didn't. It could have gone either way against Everton at the weekend, but they weren't particularly amazing. So,
but it must be great for the first time in a long time having someone like Aubameyang to come off the bench and Aaron Ramsey. Strength in those forward areas.
Yeah, we have, and and Lacazette has been playing really well at the moment, and actually defensively, we've got Socrates back on Thursday night, and he's been playing. He's been playing well, so it's looking all right for us at the moment. The only problem is left back, because Kolasinac and Monreal were both injured and missed out against Sporting the other day. So
Xhaka might go in there again.
Saying that, I still think the likes of Mustafi and Socrates are way under par for a team that wants to.
I mean, Socrates actually could have got sent off on Thursday.
Yeah.
So
good game though.
actually, he should have been sent off on Thursday. So yeah, but I think you're probably right. Certainly Mustafi.
Less of an issue with Lucas Torreira covering them though.
I love Lucas Torreira. Any player that tries to make a tackle
Torreira,
with his head.
Yeah.
You know, we've not had players
been
who want to tackle with their feet. I mean, his first couple of goals, Torreira tried to do one with his head. And
He's like Coquelin, but he can actually play, anticipate. Like Coquelin was a good physical presence in midfield.
He's like Coquelin, that game that Coquelin played away at City and actually played really well. And we all thought he was the answer. And Wenger had, come across a masterstroke. So yeah, no, he is. I really like Torreira. He's always got a booking in him.
I think it is pretty indicative.
But I love him. He's
the
great.
talent through centre backs if you need to bring in a player like Torreira.
And actually,
Jacques
Xhaka's a little bit. Xhaka's been better, I think, for having Torreira next to him and not being kind of because Xhaka's not a defensive midfielder.
No.
So
Xhaka's passing is fantastic.
Yeah.
The rest of his game is quite questionable.
Yeah. And I would say I want to see Iwobi again. I think he's
your
in
best
such
ball
good form
carrier
at
for
the
sure.
moment.
And you said earlier, very honestly, you completely changed your mindset about him.
Because he was poor. He's one of those players who, he did well when he burst onto the scene, and then he kind of stagnated, and his confidence was low though. Before Arsenal went, and seemingly under a new manager, he's blossomed, and all for it. I'm glad to be proved to be talking rubbish. More of that. I'd love
to have you on the show.
Thank you, mate. Sorry for making you feel uncomfortable.
No, that's fine. I'm used to it around on this show. Let's talk work as well. Last leg. You're
last
very busy,
legs.
anyway,
last legs. On every Friday night on Channel 4 at 10 o'clock. Yeah, live every Friday. We had a week off this week because there
you are.
So, yeah, it was. Look how young.
When are you going to get on Withycombe's podcast?
I'm actually soon.
Oh,
exclusive.
Hopefully soon.
Quickly, Kevin.
It's such a great
best work.
podcast. Yeah, I love Josh. He's brilliant. We're on all the way through every Friday night now up until like Christmas, and it seems like the end of time. So it's been great.
And we need to get you on the Football Social again when Arsenal are playing.
Yes, please. I'd love to be on. I actually probably would concentrate fully on that game. Just make sure that my second team...
make sure Arsenal versus Huddersfield, maybe. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would, yeah.
Or maybe the off and off scarf will come out.
Behave yourself.
Sandro, coming to you. Brilliant. Loving the insight from the Sky Bet side. Any last thoughts, any last odds that you want to give us?
Yeah, plenty more football to come, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's a late game in the Premier League, Leicester against West Ham. Leicester even money favourites for that. West Ham are 11-4. But talking about Arsenal, Alex seems very confident. They're 8-11 to win tomorrow away at Crystal Palace, and your man Torreira 11-4 to be carded. So and Lacazette 4-1 favourite to score the first goal. So everything points towards an Arsenal victory tomorrow.
OK, thank you for coming on. Been brilliantly insightful. Pete Dorman, thanks as always. Any last questions from social?
I haven't checked, to be honest, mate.
Really honest.
But there is one from Marcus Liverpool, and he has asked about Jadon Sancho. Should he return to England and play in the Premier League? If so, for who? And it's also worth noting he's added 2 more goals today in a 2-2 draw with Hertha Berlin.
So he is on fire at the minute.
9 assists.
So his rationale is that he's playing really well. Should he come back to England? Absolutely not. Stay in the Bundesliga, continue to develop under Lucien Favre, who at Dortmund has a good track record. Not at Dortmund, he was at Nice before, and I think Gladbach before that. A good track record of developing young talent. Stay out there, enjoy yourself. What is he, like 18? I mean, he could be out there for another 4 years and still come back, couldn't he? See out your contract.
I think his stats at the minute are 9 assists, 5 goals, and about 700 minutes.
He's playing regularly. That's the big thing.
Yeah,
he is, but he's not. He's been blooded into the side quite wisely. As in, he's starting one game, then he missed the next 2. A little bit like we're seeing with Sessegnon at Fulham.
Today was his 3rd start of the season in the league.
Yeah, only his 3rd.
And what an amazing set of fans to play for as well. Dortmund.
I was thinking this when I was watching the highlights the other day. He scored in the Champions League and just a yellow wall, all shouting Sancho. Imagine that at 18, 80,000 people.
I was going to say, I've been lucky enough to go to many stadiums in across Europe. Best stadium I've ever been to, an atmosphere in Borussia Dortmund.
Not been to Celtic Park, have you, mate?
Yeah, I haven't, to be fair. I've heard great things happen at Celtic Park. I would love to go to Celtic Park. Love to go.
You'd love to go to your own stadium, mate.
There it is! that note, just as it can't get any worse, I ruined the accumulator. The first stadium, and just as getting even worse, I thought I won the individual accumulator. I've just been told the winner was Chris Hamill for the Liverpool versus Cardiff. So, Chris, you take home the spoils. Brilliant job multitasking on the 4 games. What was your most enjoyable game of the 4? I'm gathering not Southampton, Newcastle.
No, let's not talk about them, full stop. I liked how invested Alex was in Huddersfield. I found myself wanting them to score subconsciously, but I thought Watford actually played some really nice stuff and Wolves were really unlucky and Bournemouth still really impressive going forward, but I mean, it helps when Fulham are calamitous at the back, doesn't it? But yeah, I'm not mentioning the other game because it was just dreadful, wasn't it?
Thank you very much to all our guests, Alex, to Sandro, to Pete, to Chris. Thank you for your questions, and we'll be back next week for a watch-along for Arsenal against Liverpool. Have a great weekend. See you next week. Bye-bye.